A word to the wise, we are an explicit podcast tackling content with adult themes, as well as entering spoiler territory if you aren't caught up with us. This week, that means through the chapter Night Journeys, all the way through Beyond the Doors of Dark, within Demon in White, the third book in Christopher Rocchio's Sun Eater series. Thank you, and good night.
Hey there, this is Cross.
And I'm Josh. You're listening to NPR's Words and Whiskey,
a podcast for veteran and novice readers alike.
You can think of us as your intoxicating weekly book club.
We tackle fiction novels and love to talk about what we're drinking.
And that's
the order's
mostly,
a little off.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
I wasn't reading. And neither should you, ever. Books. Who needs them?
Who needs it?
Who needs them?
No, I was going to say, I was like, wow, Josh doing an incredible NPR impression, and then you called it out, which I was like, that was good.
That was the goal.
Good stuff. Totally nailed it, too. That said, I'm really excited to talk about this section. Despite my network continuing to struggle for whatever reason, that's cool. I'm only going to live here so much longer.
You look good now. It's working now.
Well, that's good. But today's our third episode talking about Demon in White by Christopher Rocchio. We're going to be talking about Night Journeys through Beyond the Doors of Dark, which is excellent. Very excited for this little chunk of the book here. Josh, quick vibes. How you feeling?
Damn, this shit rocks.
Don't it, though?
Yeah, this is set. Okay, so my two thoughts, and I will, I'm sure, prove myself / be proven wrong on this. My two thoughts for this section are this fucking slaps and might be my favorite like single section we've read of this series. Mm-hmm. Maybe not the series, because there's like some sections in Howling Dark that go fucking crazy, but like for this early in the book, this is just some insanely good, tense, cool sci-fi action, Halo, Red Rising, fucking Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica bullshit, and it's so sick. I also don't know, like, I'm so curious once we jump into it, because I'm sure you'll have things to say that'll make me have things to say. Mm-hmm. I was listening to it, I'm like, this is fucking rad. I don't know how to talk about, like, I have nothing to say other than like, that was sick.
I've got stuff to say, but yeah, similarly, I mean, we've talked about it before, and I've talked about it over the length of the podcast, but one of the like more difficult things to break down, especially in written fiction, is sort of talking about action scenes and like what they convey, because like well done. I don't think there isn't a series so far that we've covered, and this is partially the like selection bias, where the action is difficult or like has something interesting to say that's unique in such a different way. The only thing that's gotten close over the length of the podcast is the Greenbone Saga, which has incredibly different systems than like everything else does, and like appears very different. It's great. And this is not a complaint. We loved all of the action that was depicted there. It's the most different than everything else, and so there were things to talk about because it was so different.
Okay,
this, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, but this feels the most akin to anything in Red Rising, and this is the only time in which I think that comparison is genuinely completely valid.
Yeah, we have the
the spit tube, effectively.
I was gonna say the like copyright adjacent, like the non-copyright infringing Iron Rain that we get right here.
Well, no, I mean,
not
kind
Iron
of.
Rain, but spit tubing, like the spit tube, like effect and like the launching. But leech.
They're in like a crash net, which is a little different. So like. Yeah. The way, and we'll get into this more when we talk about the scene itself, and we'll wait until that happens. But yes, this is the closest. This is action packed. This book is,
and personally, like I certainly thought of Red Rising comparisons in this scene, because like obviously you're gonna to a degree, but I got less Red Rising and more something else the whole time.
Fun,
and it's actually, if you see my name here in the recording room, it was just this scene is all I could think of.
Yeah, no, I see it now, and I have a slightly different comparison, but very close.
Okay, so for the people that can't read my name,
I'll read it.
Okay, yeah,
I'll read it. Josh's name within our recording room right now is Josh giving the Cielson their bomb back. Dun, 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 dun. It's the Halo theme.
Ramsey.
For those who don't know. Yeah, Ramsey. I totally get it. My comparison point is ODST, and I'm an ODST truther. But very similar, you know.
Yeah, and it specifically, like, not so much the giving the Covenant their bomb back scene, but the like whenever the one ship on the horizon, like the Covenant are like boarding the ships, and then you're like fighting your way through, and then you look out and like one ship just blows up, and they're like, "What the fuck's going on?" Like, this has that moment, and then Hadrian is being a little bit of a Darrow, but a little bit of a Master Chief, and then also a little bit of a slightly cooler but also slightly bitchier Anakin. You know, the whole trio, the whole thing.
He's got a little bit of each wolf in him, you know.
Yeah,
inside of you are three wolves.
Are
Anakin,
4 wolves.
Master Chief.
Inside of Hadrian are 4 wolves. It's Master Chief, Darrow, cool Anakin, and whiny Anakin. They're all there all the time. And
I mean, okay, inside of you are 5 wolves. Whiny Anakin, cool Anakin, Darrow a little bit, Master Chief, and then Gibson.
Yeah, okay. I almost made that same joke. That's crazy.
Yeah. Because Gibson is there talking in his old voice. Rage is blindness, son. Don't forget. Don't you forget.
I'm convinced by the end of the series, like, Hadrian / Rocky are going to just try and gaslight us into being like, yeah, no, Gibson's there. He's physically there all the time. He's real. He's actually there. Like, Hadrian...
He was just a little cricket.
Yeah. Because Hadrian really is less and less like, I remember my old teacher. And we're like, I hear my old teacher. And then that was like last book. And this one he's like, I speak with Gibson. You know, like, do you?
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah, man, this section is great. I mean, I think it's worth noting that a lot of people immediately upon picking up this book, part of the reason that I think that it does so well or is reacted so positively to, especially compared to the first one, definitely. And for some people, the second one. Some people come out of the second one, they're like, should I keep reading this? And people are like, if you didn't like the end of the second one, I don't know what you think about anything, but like the third one's incredible, so try it. And then they come into this and they're like, holy fucking shit, this is what I thought I was getting on page 1. And it's like, okay, sure, but we had to like get here. And I think part of that is that this is what Rockio always wanted to do. You gotta set the ground. Like, he had so much groundwork to cover to like get here.
Whole thing, yeah. And like,
he's gonna make you understand why he's Anakin, you know, why.
And also, like, the scale of this book deals with years like most things deal with days. So like to cover all that ground to get here, it takes a lot to really set up that scope, not just the world itself, but really like the distance that both physically and like linearly that happen throughout this. I feel like you really do need those first 2 books to like establish just how much can have happened in this guy's life before the story even really gets going.
For sure. Definitely. There's a lot of that throughout.
My wife, you know, got all the way through Golden Sun and was like, I don't know. And then loved Morningstar so much it reframed her entire thought of Red Rising. So it happens. People have weird, wrong opinions. It's fine.
Super fair. Super okay to be wrong like that. Brutal for her. Love you, Leslie.
No, she liked them all, I think.
Yeah. It's fine. Golden Sun doesn't have to be your favorite book on the first time that you read it, but if it's not at least in your top 1 after the second time you've read the trilogy, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I'm very excited to talk about this in particular. It's a shorter week in a lot of different ways. And again, we're doing this in part because it's the summer. We have to record a lot of episodes. There's a lot to talk about, but also, man, I wanted to create a little cliffhanger. We get a little cliffhanger in the middle of the action. That's fun.
That's good.
I miss this shit. I haven't done this with you ever, and I haven't done it with PJ for like a full fucking year. So like,
oh my god,
I get to be a little asshole for once. Yeah.
And Yar. And and Hadrian and company made a big asshole in the world ship. So, you know.
It's true. He plowed right through that. Cool. So with that, I think we can go into Night Journey.
I think we can go into Night Journeys.
This is
This
a
chapter's
really,
3 minutes. I'm sorry.
it's 3 minutes and 56 seconds. Although there's a lot shared within this. Again, this is sort of one of those we talked about them, like the interstitials, that it almost feels like he adds specifically, if I think about like a Stormlight book, right? We get the interludes between parts.
Yeah.
This is an interlude, and he particularly uses them as like a little bit of a tension break. Like, hey, there's no stress in this scene. There's no nothing. I'm being a little esoteric. I can be a little bit more esoteric because like nothing serious is going on, and you might take it or leave it, and it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. You know what? This chapter, I had a weird thought about it, and it wouldn't work in the way how television's made now. But if this were adapted in like the era of 24 episode seasons, this would be one of those fantastic, just very like quiet, very like introspective bottle episodes. That's like the entire episode is just like these years, and people go to sleep and people wake up. But like, like it's, you just kind of follow. It's like the episode of Lost that's just like majority of the episode is just like the guy in the hatch, and you just watch his like day to day. That this could have been that episode. Desmond, I think is his name. Anyways,
so what's interesting that you mentioned that, and I think it is Desmond. There is a short story called The Night Captain, which takes place between Howling Dark and Demon in White. That is Robert Halford, of whom is the same guy that Hadrian mentions here, and kind of talks about it a little bit and explores like a little story about this sort of like night journey and what that looks like from his perspective. And I found this whole concept of like the night crew fascinating because naturally that's how it happens. It has to, especially since they don't trust the computers enough. They're still skeptical of machinery in general and so much, but like there's some reliance there because of the nature of technology. But yeah, this whole concept is just so interesting to me. And I've read that short story. I didn't put it under mandatory reading. It's not mandatory for sure, but it's a good one. It's a fun one.
Okay. I will definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's in Tales 1, so everyone can read it readily. But it's kind of just it's a fun little story.
Yeah. I need to get a physical copy of Tales 1, I think.
So there aren't any, Josh, except for the super crazy special editions that I have, which there are only 1,500 of. I think
they're only $1,500. That's crazy.
Well, they were. I mean, they weren't terribly expensive. They're expensive for books. Don't get me wrong. It was, I think, $150 per book, or $125 after shipping from the United Kingdom, which is a whole other thing, obviously. But Songs and Sins of the Sun Eater will collect these stories. So those two collections are intended to give you a physical copy.
And those will have that physical. Okay,
yes,
cool. Well,
yes,
then I should get a physical copy of that whenever it comes out.
This fall, and you'll be able to read most of them.
You heard it here first, folks. Breaking news. That hasn't been announced anywhere else yet.
Anywhere else? Nope. The cover got announced and revealed this week, which is
sick.
Thing.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Which is neat. So yeah, the week that we're recording this at the very least. But yeah, I mean, this is just a fun little chapter reflecting on life on the ship in the quiet and the dark. The beekeeper, Robert Halford, sort of the idea of all these different people maintaining things, singing to the flowers. Like what a sweet, quiet moment.
Yeah, and it's also very interesting. It kind of goes. It doesn't go in a loneliness direction. It's actually like Hadrian starts to feel annoyed almost and like stops going to the places he enjoyed going because now they're too crowded whenever people start waking back up. Yeah, it's very kind of telling, and it's a great way to show who Hadrian is without saying anything about it, because any other approach to this type of chapter, I feel like it would have played on like the loneliness of those years, and with Hadrian it didn't. Maybe it's like there's some implied loneliness here or there, like with Falcagon, but I think he really enjoys the solitude as well.
Yeah, I think that like Hadrian is in a world of extroverts, and he gets a moment to be an introvert and think, right? Like we obviously hear Hadrian think internally all the time, but like he maybe doesn't get enough time to himself to kind of internalize his feelings and work through different arts. I mean, he even like scribbles down an initial version of the story here in theory. It's lost perhaps to time is sort of what he says, or in some imperial archive somewhere. But at the very least, he doesn't know where it is.
It kind of makes me feel like he doesn't mind his scholiast's prison at the end of time here too much. But who's to say?
Yeah.
Footnotes on there.
It does make it an interesting question.
Is it even a
And he even
prison?
says,
Does he just
"Who
want to
can
be there?
say? Who can
Yeah.
say?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's fair, and everyone wakes up, we kind of get a little bit more anxiety from a writing perspective too. Josh, I don't know if you felt this way thinking about the way that I write and the way that I think. I love the way that this chapter goes from calm to generally ratcheting up a little bit of anxiety subtly.
Yeah.
Really,
Mhm.
you mentioned sort of the like people waking up and then becoming irritated with the people, and then you get to a point where like the real characters start waking up, and then it becomes like more of like, okay, something has to happen here, and then like we're ready to go. We arrive like in a couple of days.
Yeah.
And like there's sort of that tension that's built throughout a chapter like this too somehow. It's good.
And there's also that, like, I don't remember the exact line, and I can't remember if it's in this chapter or the next one, but I feel like it's in this chapter, where it's like it basically says like, and it was nice when nothing was happening until something did, which it had to, and it does. Like,
Yeah, right.
we're just like straight up told, like, and then this, and then stuff's gonna happen in a second. So
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fun little chapter. It's not long. Nothing more to say. Yeah.
Same. Yeah. Very solid chapter. I really like the kind of character work that's done there. It's also a cool look into like how the ship's systems work, and kind of like seeing that there's like rivers and fish and bees and flowers and everything, which we already kind of had been like shown to a degree, but it's nice to just kind of like sit and exist within those systems.
Yeah. I think to your point, like it's great to exist within those systems, and also one of the things that you've talked about having difficulty within science fiction has been sort of like visualizing things and occupying that space. And I think that's one of the things that Rockio does so well, is giving us quiet moments to world build subtly. He gives us this quiet reflection where it's like, oh, I get a sense of how the ship works when it's not working with all the people.
Exactly. And it's very, very well done here. And it really like actually kind of helps ground these ships. And like I start to understand a bit more of like the ecosystems that are cultivated to make this all work. And it kind of brings that scale back into view. So I like that.
I just think, man, he uses the pages so well throughout this book so far.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Cool. All right. With that, I think we can move into the jaws are closed as we sort of start to warm up tension on the Tamerlane. We open on a frustrated Hadrian, and I just love the description that we start with here, so I'll read it, of course. I swore and slammed my adamant fist against the glass, wishing that it were a real window, wishing I might shatter it at a blow and admit the empty dark of space. It's simple, but like...
I love that. Like, it's also like I chuckled a little bit at it, not in like
it's childish.
It's childish, and he's like, I punched this thing, and I'm like, I wish I could break it, but yeah, it's also interesting how he reflects on Rage's blindness, but then like other people just kind of like start agreeing with him, and it calms him down. Like, it kind of shows that like for all of the aura farming of Hadrian in this book, and like a little bit of the last one, and all of the mythos that is him, like, these little tantrums aren't so unique that people don't kind of know how to navigate them. And then, like, you can tell there's like a little bit of like all right, so I know what I need to say now, because Hadrian's all worked up about a thing that didn't go his way again. And that's just kind of an interesting, subtle thing there, I think.
Have learned how to insulate his ego, to some degree. Or maybe it's not insulation of his ego, but respond to it at the very least, and understand him as a person more deeply. So there's a little bit of that. It does bring up an interesting comparison, the Rage's Blindness bit, with Torvaro in particular, who agrees with and then belays the order. Like, he's willing to just still accept the order of Hadrian, even though it's not the smartest idea. In the moment, Hadrian's reactionary orders, it appears, are maybe mostly reactionary, to that point. Like, they're not, they don't contribute more than that. And it leads to an interesting conversation and choice between what to do next, as Volca and Lorien are both on the side of continuing directly to Nemevan and abandoning the Lost Legion.
Yeah. So I do like kind of the back and forth of what just logistically here of like, well, we got to get to the war, and they're like, yeah, everybody there is definitely dead. We didn't find anything. But I like kind of the alternate side of that of like, well, if people keep going missing here, though, that's going to fuck up our supply lines. Like, it's not just we have to go be the heroes and save these people, and it's not even just like, if I don't.
It's also not just protecting Hadrian's ego at Forum,
It's like a legitimate actual play that gets brought up where it's like, at the end of the day, this is more important than just the kind of make-believe mission to bring back soldiers we already know are dead that the Emperor gave us. And it has less to do with just Hadrian's status or what might happen to him if he fails. But it's like a legitimate concern within like the supply lines of the war. I thought that was an interesting
How do we handle
touch.
it? What's that look like? Yeah. They do settle, though, instead of like making an immediate decision that they're going to take 3 days basically to come to a conclusion. And because they're willing to take that time to bring in the other ships to come to whatever sort of consensus that they all agree with. Knowing what's to come, I think that makes this scene in particular more bittersweet. Were you able to reread this week, given like I know it was a shorter schedule, but
Unfortunately not. I was able to like touch back through the last chapters, like at the end, after, like just kind of like immediately jump back in, but
yeah. So this chapter in particular brings a lot of attention to the different captains, which is really kind of the bigger deal. And while I don't think many of them are worth mentioning by like direct name, again, there's sort of, as many characters are within the series, there are dozens named, but only so many that are actually important. Varys is really the one that I think we focus, or sorry, not Varys. Varys gets a little bit of focus, excellent little character. But Cornelius Eldon is sort of focused out in this perspective as the sort of the actual Blood Palatine member. And so as a member of the Palatine, he feels like he can command the room and like really kind of like lay claim to everything and not ignore and override the rest of the captains in terms of what to do. And that leads to an interesting confrontation a little bit later with the results of sort of the ships and what they do. Yeah, I don't know. The captains are interesting, and it's sort of a bittersweet meeting to be like, oh shit, these are people that are about to die.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But yeah, getting to meet the captains was fun, but it wasn't like anything that.
It's not crazy.
I feel like I didn't have so much time with them. And I have to admit, I wish I had more time to like sit and reread these this week, but it just wasn't.
Yeah, because Hadrian teased it up as bitter. He teased it up almost as bittersweet. He's like, "Oh man, it was so nice to have these guys here."
Back then,
stares at you, directly with locks eyes.
Exactly.
Because they're not going to make it. Yeah.
We kind of get a moment where like, and I think it's a little later here, and I don't want to jump the gun here, but like, or I guess it would be around here. There's kind of like a conversation about like. Hadrian's artistic mind kind of comes in to play here, and there's like
he
caricature drawing of these captains, and I really enjoyed that. And it's always nice to kind of bring back that core aspect, that core piece of Hadrian that does see the view of the world like through an artistic lens and sketches people not as they are truthfully, but not as how they are actually, but how they are truthfully, and so it kind of makes these slight caricatures of these captains. And I don't know. It was pleasant.
Yeah, it's an interesting reflection. Most importantly,
but it does have that suspensefulness to it because of the way how it's.
There's the tang of anxiety of foreshadowing that he's giving us here, right? That both Rockio and Hadrian are feeding us. They're like, oh, and it wouldn't be that long before XYZ changes. Like not exactly, but that's sort of the tone of what we've got.
And it even happens pretty quickly. It's not like a How I Met Your Mother situation.
Right. This is not something that we're looking at the end of the series where the sun explodes, Like we already have that. We don't need another moment like that. So right now, at the very least.
Yeah.
I do love. Yeah, I was just tucking that in there. I do love this observation though that we get here. Though cowardice perhaps motivated Cornelius Eldon's desire to make for Nevermand with all due haste, cowardice is only a kind of prudence, and prudence would see him fall in line. Men like Eldon were truly strong only when pitted against their social inferiors. And what a strong way to call out racist people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. Yeah, no, it's just this idea of somebody whose entire level of self-view and like control and charisma and confidence only come from his ability to like systemically exist above others. And I was like, man, that'd be crazy if people like that existed today.
Yep.
Yeah.
would be a little wild.
Wacky for sure.
Yeah.
Which it's a good thing that we have Hadrian, because he's never been racist once in his life.
No. But importantly, I think it's good that like, and I think that in both of this chapter and the next chapter, there's reflection here that reflects that like Hadrian has now recognized his faults.
I think that Hadrian has actually grown so much in these senses, and like the Palatinian self, and not understanding his own privilege and his own views. He's grown a lot from that first book, and I do
I mean,
appreciate that.
What a great change too, to like echo back to a previous quote that had been said before, which was like, we spend soldiers like coins. He instead reflects echoing this old thought and returning to it. We do not spend men's lives like coin, but as sacrifices freely given, offered as our ancestors burned their best on altars to please the uncreated gods. This is why the best commanders, the best captains and kings make themselves known to their people, that their people may be known to them, that we might not betray their trust and obedience when the critical time came. And
Right.
what a like truly like a growing moment comparing those two things. Like there's a cynical, youthful side of Hadrian, which also makes sense. This is a little bit military industrial complex buying into, but it's still like an interesting growth path from a leadership perspective at the very least. Like this is sacrifice that a lot of these people are opting into in so many ways. And so to understand and honor that is a very different thing.
Yeah. I rewatched Cabin in the Woods for the first time in a really long time this weekend. And there's a line where it's like, we're all sacrifices. And then the stoner guy goes, human sacrifice. I'm cool with it. It's not this complicated. Get a stone slab, a fancy dagger. It's done. And that made me think of that for some reason, just because I had just watched it. He's like,
nice.
This intensity of like, this is our offering to the gods. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't have to be hundreds of thousands of people you freeze on ice and send all around the galaxy for, thousands of years where they're just non-existent, only to thaw them out and feed them to aliens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
the term uncreated gods to me is also interesting. Would you kind of, I mean, what were your sort of thoughts there? Because obviously it's that's like multifaceted religion of old that he's talking about, right?
It implies like the deconstruction of gods, like these gods existed and then they were unmade by the development of man. To me, because like at first my mind was like, my mind was like, oh, these gods that we never did make. But then I was like, oh, it's like these gods existed as much as a god. Like for all intents and purposes, through the view of the world that Hadrian has, these gods were real because people believed in them, but we uncreated them
by not believing anymore.
Yeah, and we created new gods and artificial intelligence, and then those gods came to rule over us, and then we uncreated them, and so there's just kind of this cycle.
Interesting. That's such a good analysis.
Yeah,
good shit. I hadn't considered the like layer there of like faith and belief as far as like it goes evolving into the next stage. Like like the first step for sure, but like you're right. We did create new gods that replaced the old gods that became like a religion of sorts, to the point of where we threw ourselves into pyramids and lakes and became one with brethren, and then became the white palms that rise to the sky and speak with the stars and talk through time. And
then we uncreated that, and then now we've created a new god of a golden empire that rules with the will of old Earth itself, and that'll probably be uncreated again later with the destruction of a giant sun, and then is it the god of the mythos of Hadrian Half-Mortal, or is it a new god that arises from there? But it's the creation and uncreation of the gods that rule humanity is kind of where my mind went on this.
It brings like a sense of wonder to the whole thing.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
For sure. Cool. And as they're kind of like reflecting and having these moments of conversations, as they're kind of coming to it, the alarm voice to life again.
Yeah. And then I'm like, hey, shit, here we go. And I didn't know we were going to be going like that.
You're like, maybe a chapter. Maybe it's just a little guy.
Yeah, maybe just a little guy.
We're just going to blow up a ship.
Or maybe our thought is, hey, guys, there's a 200-mile wide planet ship. Let's take like 1,000 guys and we'll take it. That'll be enough. Which the whole time I was like, he says he's done it before. This feels wrong. This doesn't feel doable. But
wait, you're sending 60 guys? You're
take
one
a planet?
Yeah.
Like that's take a ship,
more than that.
Planet. Yeah, exactly. And also there's, an understanding of how to dismantle this and get off in a way. Yeah. But woo!
And so the fun begins.
Yeah. I do like this first chapter though, where it's kind of like I've always liked like the suit up, chaotic prep kind of. There's like the calm before the storm, and then there's like the storm before the storm, where it's just like all anxiety and getting ready, and it's like they're fucking here. And I do enjoy this next chapter with that.
So what's funny is
quite a bit.
I actually got this out of order too when I was going back through and doing notes. Demon in Black is really the prep chapter.
Oh, interesting.
Aqualarii is where we're on the bridge. It's like a Star Trek scene almost.
You're so right.
I got to flip too, but
Because it's not until
it's
after the bridge
Yep.
where he's like, "Oh shit, I got to get down there," and then he goes and he starts suiting up. You're right.
I also messed that up because I literally put it at the top of the chapter when I was doing my original notes, just thinking back through. I was like, man, I love a suit up scene. That's like literally what I wrote. And I was like, oh wait,
and it's
no,
like, oh,
when
this
I went
isn't
to
even
do
the suit up
it.
scene. This is the the red cannons go, blue cannons go. You know.
Yeah. We get a little strategy. Again, I would compare it most readily to like Star Trek E. Sort of like
it has like an
action on the
Ender's
bridge.
Game
Yeah.
almost vibe too. Yeah,
Better comparison for sure. So with that, let's jump into the Aqualarii. Very, very fun chapter. I really love this as far as like an action and tension setting, and also we don't know who the enemy is. We just know that the enemy has arrived.
Yes.
Did you still suspect, like with the enemy arriving, did you have any idea, or what was your sort of thought?
I think at this point I am leaning extrasolarian.
Okay. Yeah.
Which, spoilers for later in this chapter, or later in this section, is a little bit of both. But yeah, I think I'm still thinking extrasolarian at this point because I don't know, like they're like, oh, it might be Cielson, it might be extrasolarian, and extrasolarian in my mind felt like the more mysterious kind of twist option, the option that could push the story in a different direction, and also like for all the mystery of like how they went missing, why no one's been able to find them, what's going on, what is their plan, where are these people going. I feel like the extrasolarians had more, like I saw more viable story that direction, but then as soon as it was the Cielson, I was like, oh shit, hell yeah.
Oh shit, we haven't seen the inside of a Cielson ship ever. Like we barely know the Cielson as a culture.
I mean, I played a lot of Halo, I get it, but
I mean, yeah, right. So say we all. But yeah, I mean, what an experience. So we turn to the bridge under siege, trying to get a look at who attacked them as Hadrian stands near useless on the bridge, which is a fun moment. Again, it kind of shows the maturity of him understanding where he's useful and where he isn't, and the way that he's changed. We begin to get an idea of what's coming at them. There's some probing shots that are fired, both the options presented to them that, like, I think is actually delivered eloquently by Rockio. It could be this, or this, or this. It's probably this because they're smart enough to know not to do this or this in this situation. So what does that mean? Doesn't mean we know our enemy yet, but we know how they're going to attack us.
Yeah.
And the enemy is most certainly sending these limpet style vessels that, lamprey on, and countering with their Aqualarii forces, their own ships.
There's also just whenever those like first leech craft kind of start shooting out, or they're like, that they're gonna shoot out, we already know that that's what they're going for. Mm-hmm. There's something just really exciting about that scene where he just was like, all right, send out the flyers, and then people will just like get up and they're like, all right, like they're just that shift where like it's the chaos
it's
around
the
them.
Star Wars action scene where everyone's running to the ships on Yavin
exactly
4,
like everyone's running to the ships, but it's also still just that like really tense, really strategic, really like they're playing, like a tower defense game. But then the chaos around them is real, and it's really tense and nice.
People have to move to make the action happen. Yeah, people gotta go.
Yeah. And it starts. I think that this entire action sequence from here till the end of the section we read has such a nice crescendo.
Mm-hmm.
Like you build tension even starting in that first chapter, Night Journeys, and that tension builds more as we start to hear about how these captains aren't going to make it, and then the alarms hit, and it explodes, but it doesn't fully explode. It explodes into like there's chaos and there's order, and it's building and it's getting more chaotic, and we keep building off of that until it feels like this entire section feels like Hadrian, like with a Hadrian. Shit, I was like, did I say the wrong name? No, we're good. I almost said Darrow earlier. And then Hadrian has like a solid grip on something that's just slowly losing the grip on, and it's that like order and like solidity of the moment. And just every single moment of every single chapter, it feels like he loses the grip a little bit over the control of the situation. And it's cool to see how all of these chapters play that like crescendoing loss of control.
quickly with each other as well. Like there's not only is there a tension directly from like the story working out very well, but there's a natural tension from the pacing. This is blistering in so many ways, and you wouldn't expect so given the amount and the depth of what happens, especially on this bridge, right? Like we were talking about it before, but the idea of like, hey, we're going to basically be talking through the 4D chessboard. And how interesting is the 4D chessboard? And fuck, I don't know, man. I've read a lot of science fiction, especially space science fiction, and I mean like space opera science fiction. And this remains like top 5 battle sequences of all time in space.
Dude.
Like it's so sick.
Yeah, it is. I was very impressed by it. It does the best job I've read in the genre, and I have not read as much as you, of balancing like the strategy, highbrow, like, oh, this is what like a naval battle in space would be, with the actual like nitty-gritty sci-fi of like what's happening and where and how these propulsor cannons work and exactly where the shield power is coming from, and how like it gets into the kind of like, sorry, my dog's barking because there's fireworks. It gets into sort of the like really mathematical side of the battle while also maintaining such a visceral like Star Wars-y, people running to ships, big zoo type noises, like space battles, like intense stuff. And then it also really brings in that like fantasy, like narrow view, like swords and tunnels and demons and moving walls and dungeons and horror, and like it's all in this one scene.
Yeah, this bridges, and again, you know, the goal here is not to draw these comparisons, but naturally it's something we've covered on the podcast. It feels really to do so. This bridges like 4 or 5 different scenes from different Red Rising books into one set of like 4 chapters. You know, like this is the best parts of Morningstar combined with Dark Age, combined with Lightbringer. You know, like there is so many disparate pieces here that are assembled into like a masterwork of tension. And buddy, I cut you off in the middle. You know, like I cut you in the middle.
Yeah, we haven't quite gotten a meat funnel yet, but almost.
Yeah, not quite. We're getting there. But we finally see the Force itself, of course, as a dwarf planet sits in space distantly, careening towards them. Though, as the Cielson are real enemies here. Hadrian gives a quick speech. It's just brief. It's brief enough, and even gives a chantry religion like an earthbound blessing. Before Octavia Corvo brings him back to Earth itself, wondering at the moves that the other captains are making, including Varys opting for an orbital insertion with the Mintaka against the world ship. And we kind of get this brief description of the idea of like you orbit the ships because that makes an easier bombing run and makes you less easy to target from that side.
Yeah. I've tried orbital insertion, you know, it's cool.
Is that like a sex swing joke? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was. You said a lot of things, but all I could think of was like, where are these Leechcraft coming from? They must be hiding behind that small moon. It's no moon. It's a Cielson world ship. You know?
Yeah. It has that sort of ominous presence. Yeah. To me, and I agree with you, Death Star E. I get more Firefly, frankly. I get the Reavers, you know, in a lot of ways. So. Especially the sort of fear reaction. You know, obviously combat is going to summon fear, but especially the deployment that we find out where there is I think it's the Androzani is like explodes a little bit later in the scene, and they deploy internally. Reminds me, but then also the Mintaka has this internal line seized against it, so it can't rotate, so it can't move.
It's very Firefly, very Reavers.
It's so Reavery.
Still very Halo and all of that. And I'll say, like, once we get onto the Cielson ship, once we get onto the Cielson ship,
2 chapters. Yeah. But
it's almost got like a Mind Flayer-y vibe. Like we almost go like more fleshy, fantasy, fleshy, a little bit more like
cave.
What's the word I'm looking for here?
Yeah.
Cthulhu-y, but that's not the word.
Lovecraftian
to a degree. And it's definitely a cool twist on the world planet sci-fi space battle, space science space, you know.
Yeah.
To bring that fantasy element back, that really gets me back into a story. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah. But that's later. This is now.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, regardless, that feeds into this whole feeling of like, oh, the tension of like being sucked into the ship. And I jumped ahead a little bit here, but we do get a deployment of like Lorien being a little bit of a strategic genius, suggesting a short range jump, half speed, things like that, to deploy mines against the incoming forces, which is incredible. Octavia makes some calls for a battery to target the ship. Hadrian belays that order, saying that instead they need to take the fight to them, which leads to a little bit of interpersonal conflict. She ultimately gives him that for a moment. But yeah, kind of a lot of like cool, quick, like rapid decision making tension.
Yeah, super good. And it's just, and this is one of those things where like I love this scene, and it's like hard for me to like know how to dig in and say stuff, but it's just a cool action scene that it's so, you know, it's visual, like you feel like you can see it like you're watching a movie, and it's just described in such a kinetic way, and you really like can follow these character beats in a way that's super fucking cool.
I think that the interesting thing there, to your point, is being able to follow the character beats within the action, especially because, again, we've talked about this before, but the previous books have been thinner on character connections and like what they do in different moments. And so to see such kinetic energy from these characters is like, this is an established crew. We get that this is a group. They work well together. Mostly, there's a little bit of conflict still internally, but like it all works.
Yeah. And I love just the moments with Lorien having like those little like tactical genius moments, because I always love the idea of just like that one guy who just like has the space battle ideas that no one else has tried.
Dude, and it reminded me of the moment in which he laughs, and it's so well portrayed by Rukin when he's like, "Ha, got him!" You know, basically, he just has like really like very fun, like flamboyant, like caught him out, like.
Oh, also at the beginning of this chapter, we get him Lorien yelling "incoming," and I love the idea that like this little Intis who can like barely walk and talk just has the most booming fucking like military voice whenever he needs it. Like, I think that's fun. This is a good. There's not a ton of Lorien even in this chapter. Like, it's there. This is a great Lorien chapter, though. Yeah, like kind of happening around whatever. Like the lens stays focused on like Hadrian and like between Hadrian and Corvo, and then that like you get Lorien in the lens a little bit, but like Lorien's just kind of always there, kind of being the most interesting thing in the scene to a degree. Like it's nice to see him in his element.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, not to paint any author in a corner, but I think an inferior author in a lot of ways would have turned Hadrian into Lorien as opposed to creating Lorien like a character. And so as like foregoing the idea of a like separate person of whom can manage strategy and do the right thing in those moments.
Someone else would have made just, Hadrian always has these.
Hadrian knows the plan,
ideas.
Can figure out the plan. Yeah,
exactly. And I do like that Hadrian multiple times in this section like mentions that he might be a soldier and he might be a leader, but he's not a spacer. Like he's not a pilot. He's not a space warfare tactician. That's what he has all these people for, you know?
Right.
And it's a cool kind of refreshing break from that like one guy who's got it all.
Totally. To that point, which I think is such a lovely moment and really emphasizes what you're saying, Hadrian reflects, reciting, "Here is the kingdom of death, and we, the living, have no place in it." And then he proceeds to be embarrassed internally, as though he's murmuring this out loud. He's like, "Man, I can't remember who fucking said that. Which poet was it? Was it blah blah? Was it blah? Was it blah?" It worth noting because it's a poem and everything else. It's an internal poem that Christopher Rocchio wrote. It's not anything that's external, as far as I can find or that I'm aware. And he just feels internally foolish, and like what a drama queen to feel internally foolish in the moment in which you know everyone is at battle stations ready to go, you know, ripping around.
It's also fucking crazy to recite a poem to yourself, feel embarrassed internally during warfare that you forgot who it's by, and then go and name part of your biography after that poem. That's wild.
True. I mean, like if we consider the absolutely momentous foreshadowing here, for sure.
Yeah, he said that. I was like, that's the name of not even this book. That
next book. Yeah.
That's next book.
Yeah. That's the next one. This is Demon in White, not Kingdom of Death.
Yeah.
No.
They say 2 towers in the Fellowship of the Ring. Fun fact.
Do they? Does he?
No, I don't know. Maybe
I don't know. He does say every title in every previous book. I believe in the book series. Not like necessarily back to back, but like every title exists on the pages of each book. So
okay, so it's does he ever say Howling Dark in Empire of Silence?
I don't know. I think that might be the one exception, but I think he
Okay.
does. I think he does say Howling Dark, but it's not capitalized like it is in the second book, where it's like it's referring to the sort of like pseudo afterlife potentially, or whatever, the like void.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely know that he said Empire of Silence in Empire of Silence.
Mhm.
And then I know he says Howling Dark in Howling Dark and also this book, but yeah, it was just weird getting a name drop for an upcoming book.
Yeah.
Very
when
this book came out.
When did this book come out?
Sorry, I froze halfway through because I forgot how words work. When this book came out, like the next book's title wasn't released or anyone's knowledge, right? It was just like,
no, I don't think so. At the very least,
so that's cool. That'd be pretty cool to like have read this in the next, if like you remember that one line by any chance, whenever the next one gets announced.
Yeah, I think what's interesting too here is that prolific writer, right? He was writing book after book after book. Yeah, a year, and
Crazy.
then ran into trouble right around Kingdoms of Death, where he wrote too long of a book, and they're like, "We're going to split it up into 2. Your contract is for 5 novels. That'll be the end of your time with us." And that's what they said to him. And he's like, "I'm not done with the series though, and you made me split one of my books."
Yeah.
Which is what leads then into conflict that we can definitely talk about more a little bit later. But I mean, to not only have that, but potentially one of the other titles, Ashes of Man, was not intended to be a book title.
Interesting.
Like it's just like he didn't need to have that title. That was not the idea. But Rockio, it's worth noting, to your point of like having that sort of pre-planned and thinking it through, is a prolific plotter. He is perhaps the plottiest of plotters who ever plotted, at the very least within this story for sure.
Yeah.
He writes on an outline. He's a very staunch, like he sticks to it. So add scenes where necessary, of course, and where it like feels like it needs it, and where like he feels like the story needs to expand naturally. But man, he's got an idea going in. Yeah.
Oh, I can already like tell just from how much from the first 2 chapters of Empire of Silence has like permeated reveal after reveal and moment after moment 3 books in. Like it's
right. Yeah. He built the expectations properly.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, drama queen for sure. Meanwhile, the Cielsen also deploy internally into the Androzani and blow it up, as well as similarly lashing the Mintaka, as I mentioned, to the ship. Hadrian storms off in this moment, ready to lead the boarding party himself, being next to worthless on the bridge.
Yep. He's just standing there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he wasn't just standing there. He was on the bridge.
Well, yeah.
That's
but he was just standing there.
Yeah. And I love this, like, I got to get in there, and just like the rush to suit up. But he, like, even as that's happening, is that really the best move? Like, where does he just not like feeling that? Is he putting his crew more at danger by putting himself in danger? Like, hard to say. Don't know. We're not there yet. But
what's this choice mean? Yeah. Josh, what's this cocktail you got there? This blue guy in front of you. What did it end up being?
Yeah. I'm calling this one the High Matter Blade. And if my torch lighter hadn't run out of propane, it would have a little smoke coming off the top, but it doesn't. Just imagine. We'll Photoshop it in.
Yeah, for sure. Photoshop.
But, for the pictures, not the...
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I was going to just turn those into GIFs, actually. And like,
Okay, cool. But, yeah, it's... Shit, if I can remember what the ounceage is. 2 ounces of white rum, and then a half ounce of blue curacao, and then a half ounce of like a wild berry simple I made recently that I've been using for stuff that I like a lot, and then 2 ounces of coconut water, and
Ooh.
then half an ounce of lime, and then 1 ounce of heavy whipping cream. Yeah, shake it all up, and you got yourself a little blue and white pina colada situation. That is pretty tasty. Oh, and then I also did a drizzle of the berry simple around the outside, and then I did a few drops of Peychaud's bitters, just because I like to make things weirder than they need to be.
Yeah, totally. I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Fun.
good. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's very creamy.
Good. Yeah.
I'm not so used to such a creamy drink, but if you liked creamy drinks, you would probably really like this.
Yeah, interesting. Your ice situation. Did you crush ice?
I shook it with ice.
Yeah.
But I did not
strain?
Put any ice in the drink.
Oh, you strained all the ice.
Yeah, which I know tiki drinks are usually over ice, but
it depends. It varies.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It filled the glass and it looks nice. And I was like,
yeah, it looks great, and I'm really impressed. I think the color comes out almost. We'll put this up on the website, of course, but the color comes out on camera a little bit better here on YouTube, which is fascinating for the other.
It really does.
It looks very blue, as I assume it does in person or pretty.
Yeah,
close.
In person it's very blue, and on camera it's very blue, but
the photos did not come out blue.
The photos didn't really capture the blue, and that was more of a lighting problem on my side, I think. But I was moving fast. I just took pictures of where I made it. I should have brought it out here. So.
Fair. With that in mind, what are you having after that? I mean, for those of you on the podcast, you can see, but
yeah, a Claudian Wit.
Claudian Wit, the Wittian.
It's a White Claw. It's a pineapple White Claw. I figured pineapple if we're making coconut and lime, and we're feeling very tropical today. We get this section of the book takes us to the bright and sunny Cielson beaches of the world ship.
Yeah.
And so it just felt, I think we both got the vibe that this just felt like a tiki kind of night.
It felt like a tiki.
It feels tropical. It feels relaxing. It feels mahalo. It feels
definitely
a well
doesn't feel like I should just be having like smoked whiskey or something.
Yeah,
like
honestly, this should have just been like 240s of malt liquor.
Duct taped to our hands as we try to explain the episode.
Exactly.
I'm scrolling my wheel so that I can go down the notes with my full bottle.
This episode feels like the kind of night of drinking you survive.
Not one that you're thriving in. Totally.
Exactly. And then tiki drinks I only ever have for funsies. I've never been like, God damn, what a day. I gotta get fucked up. Time to have a have a super fruity, creamy drink served out of a cup that looks like a little guy with a flower garnish and a fun little straw.
A little lay, around the whole thing.
Yeah. in a bar that has like fun little light shows with rainforest noises every 20 minutes.
Yeah. Perfect. Great time.
Yeah. Now I'm really getting through my rage.
That's how I work through it. Very fun.
What are you drinking for your beers?
Josh, I'm calling this a Demon of RA, and I was inspired because you were like, I'm gonna go tiki. I was like, I'm gonna fuck around, and that was my answer. Looking at my shelf, I was like, what can I do to make something that seems very fucked up and is probably gonna taste pretty good? So 1.5 ounces of tequila, a half ounce of monkey shoulder scotch, a half ounce of dry curacao, 1 ounce of hibiscus simple syrup, 3/4 ounce lemon juice, 1 ounce grapefruit juice, 1.5 ounces of orange juice, a bar spoon of Trader Joe's sweet and spicy jalapeno vinegar, the juice,
Interesting.
and then a spritz of absinthe on top with a little jalapeno to garnish.
I cannot figure out which flavor profile you're going for here, but I don't think it's bad. Like,
dude,
I can only imagine tasting good. But that is a wild pull. Every time you said something new, it's like you changed your mind. Like every new ingredient was you changing your mind on what drink you were making.
What's fascinating is obviously so like one of the things that's like a lesson in tiki is like you can make anything good if you drown it in juice. Like it's gonna be fine.
True. Yeah.
But also, like, curacao plays with tequila. It plays with scotch. It plays well in that same flavor profile. The monkey shoulder and tequila is more of a spirit that you can build upon really easily. Scotch lends a smokier background. That'll work.
Monkey shoulder itself is very creamy, so
yes,
that kind of works within it too. So
for a scotch, the hibiscus simple is really approachable. It just adds a little flowery element, and then it's the juices. Now the trick is when I tried it, I was like, I should add bitters or something to this, or like usually I'd add a float of rum. And I went, oh man, it would have been better if I had like a spiced tequila. So because I didn't have like an Ancho Reyes or something like that on hand, I I went, oh, I've got my favorite jalapenos in the fridge, the Trader Joe's spicy sweet jalapenos. I just took a little bar spoon of that, put it right in as I was shaking it up. Incredible. The spritz of absinthe was mostly a bit because I was like, let's fuck with it at this point to like really make it chaotic.
Yeah.
But
let's add a little extra machinery to the thing. Yeah, I whenever you're talking about like what you wish you did, but based off what you have, in hindsight, and as I was making it, I was like, I really wish I had like a port I could float on top of
like
this.
A little,
Oh, like a heavy kind of intense wine float just right up on top would have really been cool on this.
Yeah.
Or also, I should have added brandy to this. I think brandy for some reason would have been really good in this.
Like a little tiny guy right on top.
Yeah, just a tiny bit of brandy right up on top. Hey, Brandy.
Yeah.
You're a fine girl.
You're a fine
Hadrian
girl.
doesn't like drinking you.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Does not like it at all.
It would have been better to put a little like port because Hadrian likes wine.
Yeah, it's adjacent. Yeah. So it's
Beer?
this is a great cocktail. Shockingly, like I did make it. I was like, this could be terrible, and it may very well may be. But I was looking at the profile and I was like, that should work based on everything that I have. And again, if it doesn't, more orange juice. Like orange juice mellows everything out. You are halfway through that thing. Or it seems.
It was. I mean, it's mostly cream.
Okay, fair. For beer, I'm having a Tropic Ale, pale ale, from Boone's Shine Brewing Co. from Boone, North Carolina.
Very cool.
The most North Carolinian sounding place I've ever said on the podcast.
Boone, Carolina.
Boone, North Carolina. Boone is, I think, just like south of the border, kind of close to Tennessee, northwest.
Okay.
Yeah. Northeast
I know all
of
those
Asheville by a ways, but
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
It exists. It's a solid beer. It's a very drinkable pale. I bought it intentionally originally for the beach this weekend or the pool. And then we went and we left it in the car. So it got hot. And then I put it back in my fridge to drink for the podcast. So,
well, there you go.
It's acceptable.
I just like that. I'm it's fun whenever like, and it hasn't happened really at all yet, but we're going to make it happen. Like, I want you to drink some West Coast beers, but on your side, and I know you have, but like not with me, but it's cool that like I'm drinking a South Carolina based, White Claws from South Carolina. So,
well, fine.
So
they're mostly
really
like
like
Canada now, though. So
experiencing,
yeah.
We're really touching on your culture over there. You know,
we're really deep in the Carolinas right now.
We're really deep in the Carolinas.
Yeah, that local White Claw, created
local
in South Carolina
White Claw,
assembled in Canada.
Yeah, drank anywhere there's moms,
and Josh's.
Yeah, well, I am going to a friend's birthday with people I barely know, to like a hot springs resort next weekend, and I have to be shirtless around a lot of people I don't know. So, it's White Claws instead of beers, and that's the big change I'm making for 3 days
to support said habit and behavior.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, I drank White Claws for 3 days instead of beers, and now I assume I'm gonna be absolutely ripped at this
just jacked
birthday party. Yeah.
Okay, cool. With that in mind, I think we can get into the back half here of the books. We start with Demon in Black, which is one of the chapters that we talked about, the sick ass.
That's not
chapter.
The name of the book.
No, it does call that out, which is kind of a fun little thing. It feels so close. You're like, wait a minute. Oh, so Hadrian isn't the demon in white. Very
He's the demon in black. Yeah.
We get this picture of Hadrian, though, in his suit with the devil face of Majuan in his armor, carved out of black marble, like those of his home necropolis, and a soldier again, just like his ancestors were in the beginning. He says, but I had no time for philosophy, after he kind of goes on that like little esoteric tangent, and then seals his suit as it all screws in place in a very fun scene that feels reminiscent. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but the StarCraft 2 trailer, where
Not, no.
one of the characters says, "Hail, it's about time," and it's this full like minute and a half trailer of this guy putting on a suit of armor who was previously a prisoner. StarCraft 2 was a sequel that came out like a decade after the original, and so it was this whole teaser building up to the reveal that yes, in fact, you are finally getting a sequel to StarCraft. Reminds me of that, but he can't find his fucking sword.
It's very clear, like I mean, maybe not clear, but it's very easy to tie it to like early Iron Man suit ups.
Oh, totally.
You know?
Yep.
And like I miss like nanotech is the worst thing that happened to Marvel, you know, but I just loved like the stepping into the shoes and then the thing being built around him. But also just I don't know, for some reason it's the shoes that get me the most here. Like he steps into these like gauntleted boots and then they like seal to him. And to me, like that's ready to go. He's got his grab boots on, you know. Not really, but yeah. I feel like every good sci-fi, there's just something about the boots.
The boots
sci-fi
lives
and dies by boots, by armored boots. And these are some good armored boots. Yeah.
Fair.
But yeah, you can't find a sword. What's up with that?
Yeah, can't find where the fuck did
Forgetful
it
bitch,
go?
leaving just stuff all around.
Where the fuck did it go? But yeah, it's interesting. It's exciting. We'll see where that sword is. Oh wait, we know where the sword is. He explains to Valka what's happening, of whom is also standing in the room, and she holds his sword from him, kind of behind her back, in sort of a "don't go" sort of way, before snapping at him and offering it to him to do what needs to be done. You know, in many ways, this is sort of like a back and forth conversation about like her not wanting him to go, but understanding that he has to. Simultaneously, Hadrian says a couple of things that he probably shouldn't have about what she should do with her own time. And she snaps back very logically for like a "you can't tell me what the fuck to do" sort of moment, which is great to see between the couple.
Definitely. And I do like a lot just the setup of the specific wording that gets kind of thrown back here with Hadrian being like, I was useless, or I was just standing idly by on the bridge. And she's like, you weren't standing idle, you were on the bridge.
Yeah.
Only to like have it end up later where Hadrian's like, lock yourself in here. She's like, I'm not going to lock myself in here. And he's like, oh, actually, you could probably go help them on the bridge. She's like, you think I'm just going to stand around on the bridge? He's like, you won't be just standing around. You'll be on the bridge.
Yeah, right.
And a very good little banter moment between a couple that understands each other and has these back and forths. But like ultimately, like this is their dynamic. It's so established. It feels so comfortable. And, you know, it feels like this isn't the first conversation like this that's ever happened. And it's playful, but it's caring. They are worried legitimately. There is some level of like headbutting between two people who can't take their own advice for their own safety, you know? And yeah, it's just it's a good, well-written moment after a sick suit up and like all black, red trim, armored boots. He's got the
mask. Yeah.
Face mask. He's got he's still got like the tunic that goes down. Like he's still rocking the Hadrian long shirts and shoulder capes and shit, but he's all armored up and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. He looks great and really excellent here as we kind of head out of the scene. But before we end it, I do love kind of the sweet moment that we end on right between the two of them. Foreshadowing as well a little bit, perhaps. Golden eyes met Violet, and she kissed me. Why should I remember that kiss so sharply? It was not the first time I'd left her to leap into battle. It would not be the last. It was not our first kiss aboard the Mistral, nor the one we would share that windy night on Berenike. Nor was it the one I gave her before she went into fugue as we limped back to Colchis with black sails. But I remember it. I remember her hands in my hair and the taste of her mouth and the way the ship shook beneath us. I remember her holding close against me and the little voice whispering, "You have no time."
No honor, no time, you know?
No. Yeah?
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, no, it's very good. And I do like that through all of the times when the kind of foreshadowing has led to like, and this was the last time I ever saw him, and I wish I had more time with this person. All of these things, this is one of the few times where I feel like the foreshadowing has been like, they both make it out of this to some degree. The two of these people, at the very least, will experience more kisses and tense moments, and Hadrian will leave Valka for more battles in the future. to come.
We've got a planet that we're going to that we were unaware of. We have another planet that we are eventually making it to, apparently. You know, like there's...
Yeah, and I'm like, Ike, I bear a Nike. You know?
I know what that is.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, bear a Noah.
I looked at it and I was like, fuck, this word is so specific. How do I say it correctly? Just to make sure that I don't fuck up for everyone that like knows. But
Berenike, I think.
Right.
No, it's
yeah,
not.
that would be
Berenike or something.
Yeah, Berenike is how it's said. But
Berenike.
Yeah. It's interesting too because again, like the reference to Berenike, I think we've referenced it once before this whole time. Colchis is interesting because we know that it's where Hadrian wants to end up or wants to go. We also know that it's where Hadrian ends up. So like at what point in the story are you even forecasting? You know, like,
and we've also we've gotten the forecasting of Gododin. We've been to Gododin. Like there's a nice thing where things are coming together, but when?
But coming together and then separating and maybe snaking around.
When does he have a windy little kiss? That would have felt like earlier, you know?
Yeah.
Windy little kisses. Yeah. But all that to say, solid moment to kind of show the dynamic of the relationship thus far, where they stand now, decades after we last kind of saw them have an interaction at all similar to this. They've got more of an old married couple vibe now to a degree.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's not quite where is my super suit, you know, but
it's not too far off.
But it's not that, you know. It's like I have to go for the greater good, and she's like, I'm the greatest good you're ever gonna get, and he's like, go to the bridge, woman. And then so I think that's how that went. That sounds about right.
Yeah, it sounds like we're talking to like a 1950s caricature for sure.
Yeah,
Mad Men. Yeah, Hadrian Mad Men style. Yeah.
Hadrian Mad Men style. Oh my god, just
which is basically Hadrian, but with like a coat of paint. Yeah.
Oh, can I just because I don't think we've done an episode since this happened.
No,
I'm pretty sure.
No,
I had a boys' night recently, and the two boys, my two best friends that I'm like in bands with since like high school. Neither of them have seen either of the modern or even the old ones. None at all. Actually, Dune movies or read Dune or no, they're completely Duneless.
Yeah, they're
just
nudes.
Duneless dudes duding out there with no dunes in them.
Yeah.
And so we had to fix that because Dune 3 is coming up quickly, and holy shit, it's going to be so good. And Dune 2 is like actually one of those movies that like the more I sit with my one ever watch of it, the more I'm like, that's a fucking masterpiece. And Dune 1 is a very, very good sci-fi film, expertly made by one of my favorite directors.
Right.
It's not Dune 2, but you know,
see, I love both of the movies equally. And for the record, my top movies of all time, I do have it listed collectively as Dune, as opposed to separating them.
And it should be viewed that way. It's just too long to convince anybody to watch both in a night.
Correct. I would agree. I do want to just put in my own 2 cents here, where I do think I slightly prefer the first Dune movie. And that's not for anything that the second movie does. I think I just like the world building, the subtle slowness of it a little bit more. It's kind of like the way that you prefer Empire to, or don't prefer, but like really appreciate Empire, where I'm like so hard on Howling Dark in the other direction. Like very clear preferences between the two. Like you like Empire because of its slowness, because of those things.
Right.
I like Dune 1 because of those same things that you like in Empire, if that makes sense.
I think on a rewatch of Dune 1, having seen Dune 2, you know, it feels really nice and it's really cool. I think that it is much like Empire or much like Blade itself. Empire of Silence, not Empire Strikes Back, in case any listeners are confused, because there's a lot of sci-fi here. I think it asks a lot of its audience and their attention spans and their ability to buy in on something that's giving you nothing. It's giving you nothing, you know? So I really, really
Except
like
for
the first
spectacle in like a massive
Oh my god,
way.
It's one of the most gorgeously filmed films I've ever seen, but then also the second one is too. I would be hard pressed to say which one is.
It's very true. The whole like the entire
spectacle.
floating up the mountain thing is like one of the craziest scenes ever.
Everything on the Harkonnen world in either movie is like
very true.
Some of my favorite. But all I'll say is that I didn't really know, you know, Austin Butler's game before Dune 2. I thought he was just one of those guys, you know, one of those Pretty Little Sexy Boys.
I think Sting did it better, man. I don't know.
Okay.
Just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
But that, yeah, I was like fucking, I was rocking with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was just so good, so well acted. I think it gives like Batista's character so much more to do. I think just the Harkonnens in general are just so much cooler and more menacing in that second film.
In the back half of the story in general, for sure.
And I like that it switches it from very much so. The first one feels very much so, even though the foreshadowing's there. If you don't know Dune already, it's kind of a classic, almost Avatar or Last Samurai, like white savior adjacent type film. The second one really shows you that it's not. You start to get more into what the story actually is and what's like actually intended for how you should feel about Paul and all of this, which is simultaneously like, that guy's fucking cool, and also like, oh no, he's the bad guy. Which is, I bring all that up to say that it just, Dune was so detached in my mind, and obviously all sci-fi in the modern era to some degree is derivative of Dune, in the same way that all fantasy in the modern era in some way is derivative of Tolkien. You know, like, and there's sci-fi farther back from Dune, and there's sci-fi. It's not all just Dune dupes, but like, you know, it's Dune is like, as far as how prolific and how much it established the genre, it's like the Lord of the Rings of sci-fi to me, in my mind.
Yeah, and only a decade after the fact, for the record. Like, there's a decade between those two stories, which is also just a crazy fact.
Incredible. Yeah. With that said, I didn't ever really think about Dune too much reading these stories. Even though there's so many clear parallels.
Yeah, I mean, the first book definitely, like, without doubt.
And holy shit, not now, but at the era when Dune 1 was made, I was like, I would have punched a person in the mouth if they were like, you know who should play Hadrian Marlowe? Timmy Chalamet. And then, like, the first scene, Paul walks in, I was like, that's fucking Hadrian Marlowe in Empire of Silence. Like, that is it. Like, I feel like Rockio was just watching Dune and was like, I got an idea. You know, like,
Rockio said many a time.
To a T, like how Hadrian is described. It is down to the outfits, down to his personality. Like, that is... Hadrian is Paul more than he's Darrow, more than he's Achilles, more than he's anybody. You know,
it is worth noting in my mind two different things here. I'll start on the story and the thread that we're on right here. The first thing to mention is, like, Rockio has mentioned many times that Denis Villeneuve is maybe his, like, top 5 favorite directors, top 3. Incredible.
I think you would be. I think you'd be a little insane to not have him at least.
Yeah, he's in my top 5, and he's incredible. Yeah, right.
Top 3, we could argue, but like top 5, come on,
fucking,
like it's
yeah. We don't need to get into this right now, but like,
yeah, of course,
absolutely, like, right there. And like, I've already mentioned the scene in which he, like, viewed and, like, swore in the middle of the theater out loud, where, like, he saw 2049, was like, fuck, you stole my scene in my head, and put it on screen. And so, like, so many different times when the visuals would come up, I'm like, not only do I know that, like, obviously Rockio is borrowing from Dune, but Denis and Rockio have the same idea of Dune in their head in so many ways. Now,
I think they view sci-fi very similarly, except Rockio can't picture things.
Right. And importantly, they also view the presentation of facts very differently, because Rockio really appreciates the Dune movies, but dislikes elements of them strongly, because of, like, story beats that are changed. And I get it. There are a couple of things in particular that are kind of important things that are removed and changed that I understand being sticking points. But I've listened to his opinions on Dune 1 and Dune 2. And while he's like, I don't know if anyone could do it better at any point or ever will do it better, and I enjoyed the movie, it's not what I want out of Dune. And it's like, yeah, we know what you want out of Dune. You wrote your whole 7-book series about what you wanted out of Dune, man. Like, we're right here.
Yeah, I've seen what you want out of Dune. It's pretty good.
And that's so good. And I love it, for the record. I'm really enjoying it. I'm not besmirching your opinion at all.
Hey, Rockio, guess what? They ever adapt your shit, it's also going to change.
It's right. The second point that I want to bring up, and this is a subtle point, and people who've listened to the Dune episodes, because we did do 3 Dune episodes, I think, technically, with PJ, Tim, of whom is our back-end programmer, and I, talking through the books and the movie and the adaptation, our thoughts, things like that. I mentioned this in the episode for Dune Part 2. and you know this, but I am incredibly colorblind. I see in black, white, and gray. So I'm a chromatopsia.
You might be one of the
monochromacy.
few people I know that's more colorblind than me.
Fair. But I'm so fucking colorblind, right? On the spectrum of colorblindness, I can tell you what colors are, yada yada yada. Look up achromatopsia monochromacy, you'll get it. For those that are listening. But I experienced true black and white film for the first time in my life. And that transition when you move into the stadium for the first time, and it's
you
filmed
move
on
out into
infrared.
the silver sun.
And but the way that they filmed it was infrared.
Oh, yeah.
In the theater, I had no idea that this was happening, had no clue. I cried on the spot. Like, my brain was like, whoa, what
finally
the fuck
like something
is this?
filmed for your eyes.
Yeah, like I had that level of reaction, and it was so good. I think about it all the time. So that's like part of the reason like Dune 2 will never not live in my soul, in some way. Like I prefer Dune 1, but like Dune 2, I've never experienced the Wizard of Oz like color shift experience like people did at that point in the same way that like other people maybe get when things fade to black and white and back and forth and whatever the fuck. But like that was life-changing. So
fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Anyway, that was my experience with that. And to that point, like fucking Hadrian Marlowe borrows a lot of aesthetics from the guy. Until now,
Yes.
like if we say Timothée Chalamet plays early Hadrian Marlowe, who's playing Hadrian now?
Hadrian now. If Timothée Chalamet plays early Hadrian Marlowe, oh Jesus, I should have thought more about this.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. I got nothing. Honestly, no clue.
Yeah,
Who
man.
do you got?
I don't fucking know. In my head, when I said the question, I was like, Ewan McGregor, and then I was like, no, maybe
no, too old.
Yeah,
too old. Maybe later.
but like
maybe
younger
Ewan McGregor's.
Ewan. Yeah,
Okay, but even still, no, he's not.
but I don't think so. Still, I don't stand behind that. Like I was like, maybe no. But that was the
I
only
almost
thing that came to
picture
mind.
him more as like an Adrian Brody. Not quite.
That's
but
not
closer
bad.
to that vein.
Yep, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, he's not quite ready. Maybe again,
Man,
maybe
a
like
young Mads Mikkelsen
ooh, okay.
Yeah.
You know what?
as 100-year-old Hadrian, like a 30-year-old Mads Mikkelsen as
Man,
Hadrian.
if we could just like pick one actor and cast them at multiple ages, just to have them continue being Hadrian, it'd be pretty cool to see Cillian Murphy.
Totally. Yeah.
Like young to old.
Totally.
But as of right
could've
now,
done the whole
Hadrian has
spectrum.
yet to earn being played by Cillian Murphy fully. I
That's
know he's ramping
fair.
up to it. He's almost
Right.
there. But he's aura farming. He hasn't aura farmed enough to be Tommy Shelby yet.
No,
you
you're
know?
right. Right now, like in the movie adaptation, he is maybe Ben Affleck, but like
Yeah. At the very least, like he I had a specific person in mind and then it drifted away, and that's okay. And that's fine. And that happens.
it's all good.
He's made it past where Tom Holland would be believable, I think.
right.
Yeah. And I say maybe he's even outgrown Chalamet.
I think Tom Holland would make an excellent Crispin against Chalamet.
But just like reverse Captain America CGI, just made big.
Put on apple boxes like Tom Cruise. It's fine.
I want young Timothée Chalamet to play young Hadrian, and I want just right now Dave Bautista to play young Crispin.
No. I love the thought, and I love that idea. But I mean, young Crispin played by 50-year-old Tom Holland when this eventually gets adapted. And maybe at that point he'll have broadened his shoulders a little bit and not be a little gymnastics flipper boy.
I think the problem is still that he's my height.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm a short guy, and height isn't everything. But there's no quicker way to lose my respect than to find out we're the same height. I'm like, oh no, I don't respect me, and neither does anybody else. How am I supposed to think you're intimidating?
How can I think seriously about you as a person? You're so
like
short.
Tom Cruise can jump out of as many buildings as he wants, but like he's
still-
my height.
Yeah,
you
right.
know?
And he has 3 front teeth. Like it's a whole separate problem.
And
But
I don't have enough teeth. He couldn't share some of those front teeth.
Yeah, right.
So, I'm missing this one. Yeah. Okay.
right, I
We're
think
good.
we've talked about that.
Yeah.
That's
all
it.
right. The book.
Yeah.
Is,
We had a fun little side tangent. It had to happen once.
not our worst one we've ever done.
No, it was good. It was reasonable. It was.
I've noticed
also,
a weird pattern, and I can't figure out why, but I feel like the side tangents always happen after the cocktail section, and I don't understand like why that is. I think
Could
it's
it
like
be?
could be like a retrograde, like a universal kind of shifting of energies, but
It could be. It could also be that we've been drinking for at least an hour and a half. The shot kicks in around 20 minutes, and most of the beer kicks in. We take a second, we get up, we move around, blood circulates a little bit more aggressively, and then we come
Right.
back, sit down again, where our asses are like, "Oh, I hurt." Also, I had all these weird thoughts when I got up.
I do understand that.
Yeah.
I like to do my own research, and I don't believe in your weird pseudoscience.
Oh,
So
well, I have 4 papers to back that up. So what are you going to do about it?
papers like from the
Are you
liberal
gonna
college
show me some
propaganda
threads?
machine,
Are you going to show me
Yeah,
some
sure.
skeets from Blue
Oh,
Sky? Yeah.
peer reviewed by who? What's their agenda? What are we doing?
Hugh Grant.
That's
Hugh
the
Grant.
goal now.
Peer review them.
So,
Yeah.
let's into the maw.
Yeah, into the maw. A shorter chapter, but there's a lot to talk about here, and only from the perspective of like the action's really cool. There are a couple of quotes that I want to talk about, but nothing crazy to the point of like what we've talked about before. Again, it's so sick. We talked about some of the comparisons that we had drawn. I think it feels like a chapter out of Halo ODST in particular, as we're kind of sitting in that ship and waiting to drop. Or if anyone's seen it, one of my favorite movies to go into blind, one of my favorite movie experiences ever that I went into blind is Overlord, which is a World War II movie.
I did think of Overlord.
Dude,
Yeah.
I had never, I knew nothing
like
about
that
it.
intro sequence, kind of.
The intro
or-
sequence is
yeah.
exactly what I'm envisioning here. Not quite like obviously not shooting into the ship and everything else that happens during that sequence, but like sitting in the chair, ratcheted in, that like fear setting in, feels very ODST, Overlord, or like Gears of War to me. Early era Xbox, which we know that
Overlord
this man was.
is something you should not have brought up because I have to fight really hard not to go on another tangent. That movie is like the best B grade movie I've ever seen. Like I can't say it's like if I judge it as art, maybe not. But if I judge it as
dude.
how fucking good it is,
Nah, dude.
it's up there. It's a perfect video
Where's
game.
on my list? It is 23 in my top movie list.
Okay.
I love that movie.
I mean, it's really fucking good.
Yeah,
and
it is the
I-
best B movie you've never seen. You know, like
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I think that like it's
but everyone's acting their ass off. The effects are
If you
incredible.
gauge- if you
the
gauge a film by-
soundtrack is miraculous. Like
if you gauge a film, I think the proper way to gauge a film or a book or art by how well it achieves what it's going for.
Right.
Few
is
things
why you're
top
here.
Overlord.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Is it just? I want to redact even like talking about it, but is it just like theme and theme as is anticipated within the genre? Yes, but is it the best execution of that you could ever fucking imagine? Yeah. Also, yeah. So
And is the guy who played Fitz from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in it? Hell yeah.
yeah. Also, fucking God.
The
Curtis
new
Russell's
Captain America
son?
guy?
Yeah. Yeah, is in it. I mean, fucking man, Overlord is like the underrated film that I think like no one saw. But
That might have to be the next boys' night before we even do Dune 2. No, we got to do Dune 2.
man, yeah, man. There are a few movies that I like sling so much praise on it. I just adore, and I have friends that I've convinced to watch it, and they're like, "Yeah, that was good," and I was like, "Okay, but you knew nothing going in. You knew something going into that. I knew nothing. I went alone. There was
saw it
one
in
other person in the
theaters.
theaters with me at the time. One of the best experiences of my life.
I think me and Leslie saw it together and
Yeah.
might have seen it alone. And again, nobody was in that theater.
Mhm.
Anyways,
One final
Yes.
fact about this movie, and I think I've mentioned it before in the podcast. Our company, the company that you are a co-owner of, is named Atomic Pylon Media. Part of that is a StarCraft 2 reference because we played, the four of us played a lot of StarCraft 2
I
growing
knew
up.
about the StarCraft 2 reference.
Yep. So we played a lot of StarCraft. It is also based on Overlord because the owner of the company that made the movie, James Wan, his company is called Atomic Monster. And I saw his logo and I saw the name and I fucking love that movie and I fucking love all of this. And I was like, I'm just going to mash the two together.
Incredible.
And so the namesake of our company is derived from Overlord and from StarCraft. So
Damn.
Atomic Pylon Media, which also stands for APM, which is the clicks per minute while you're playing the game. But
Yes.
yeah. Anyway, That's it. That's all. I don't think I've talked about the Overlord connection ever on the podcast.
I never knew that. And
that's
I never
the
would have known
basis.
that.
Yeah.
And hey, we can do an entire mini episode if we ever just need to fill space of we'll both watch Overlord and then talk.
Oh fuck, man! I could talk about the movie so many times. It's so good. Anyway.
I want to figure out what the logistics are to do like a watch along, because I know like you can't actually play the movie, kind of, or maybe you can, depending on the live streaming service.
The thing that I've done historically, and this is also again how the podcast started, and we can cut this from the episode. That's fine if we want to, but the way that PJ and I did devs is we would sit together on whatever streaming service, and we both had access to it. We'd just go 3, 2, 1, click, and then we watched it at the same time, and like maybe lag like moved me ahead 5 seconds or him, but like it didn't matter. We ended the episode around the same time. Our commentary was synced if we wanted to, but we weren't talking. We weren't recording it at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I wonder if we could do a live stream.
Oh, yeah.
Where we just do 3, 2, 1, and then we both start the movie, but at the same time, we start just down on like an overlay, just a timer, like a counter.
Sure.
So if anybody were to jump in, they would know exactly the timestamp we are in the film.
I think that
not necessarily for Overlord, but it would be fun to do like some occasional live streaming.
Yeah. There's got to be a way. There probably is a built-in feature in any of the streaming service. There's got to be one, right?
That just puts the little counter down there.
It feels very normal.
Yeah. Also, not that big of a deal. We should probably talk about the book, but because we got on tangents,
we were there.
Go pour myself a shot. Then I'll be right back.
Love it.
Do it. Sorry.
Go to the bathroom.
I feel like we have to. Yeah, I just really need like a good pair of.
Man, I'm not like I've never historically in my life I was never an on-ear guy. Like I over-ear for sure. Similarly, and then for whatever reason the Beats solos fit my ears so perfectly that I'm like, this is ideal. Like this is the only.
Yeah, I have to go big over ears.
Yeah.
Because my ears are pierced.
Oh, totally.
So being on the piercing after a while will aggravate it. But like AirPods, I can wear them. I'll go on a jog. I'll go for 2 hours on a walk, and it feels like nothing. But if I do a 3-hour podcast, I feel by the end like someone was just like. In my
also,
ears,
they die.
They die so fast. Yeah. So I need something that has like a 20-hour battery life, because I'm not going to remember to charge it every single time we record.
Yeah. I mean, curious on like over-ear options. There are a lot out there. You just got to find the right ones that work. I have friends that use the Sennheiser over-ears, and they really love them.
I love Sennheiser in general. I have a lot of them.
Obviously more expensive. Sennheiser, welcome. But yeah.
Their microphones are fantastic.
Right. So are their speakers.
They have my favorite affordable, depending on what you call affordable. Yeah. Affordable, high-end affordable drum overheads that you can get before you, without like breaking the like $1,000 line.
Also, really worth noting, Andrew, for the time being, works for Sweetwater Sound. Sweetwater Music. So if you need, he works on the sales team deep within the department. So like, you need to connect.
That's actually good to know.
That guy's that guy.
That's pretty good to know. I need some pickups. I need some new drum heads.
Yeah, no, that guy's the guy. He'll find it for you. Cool. The best deal.
Probably it doesn't show on the camera. While we're in a quick.
Yes.
I swear to God, we're jumping back in. Have I ever shown you the sick ass flying V my brother got from a friend's dead dad's garage and then didn't know what to do with it?
You told me about it, but I don't think I've seen it. Yeah, okay.
I just want to buy a bunch of shit to make this actually functional and like sick and unique sounding, because right now it's like it looks cool, but it's not functional yet.
Yeah. Wow.
Look at that shit. Is that not the coolest fucking guitar you've ever seen in your life?
That's dope. Like a genuine. Fuck the microphone.
It's not that cool up there. Well, I mean it is, but it's like that is like
crazy,
a fully custom body, fully custom piece. Like
the like one straight body that goes all the way up to the bridge, like that like racing stripe almost. That's so sick. Yeah.
And oh my God, it's fucking rad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I get it. I'm with it. The old couple, I think I mentioned this a couple times, that I do music for and that I do the sound for them. Oh,
You were saying stuff, but I totally unplugged my
no,
headphones.
it's fine. I cut myself off because I realized that you weren't saying stuff, because I did see like the back end of the cable for a hot second. The old couple that I do music for every once in a while, that I do the like sound production for, that I've talked about before, the man has this, because he's old and he can buy them and can afford them at this point in his life. He's got just an incredible collection of guitars, and he takes care of them very well. But like, he's got like a crazy old like 1970s like SJ25. He's got like 4 different hummingbirds, which are just like incredibly incredible sounding. He's got them stringed differently, and every time he pulls up a new guitar, I'm like, man, I thought I liked the old one more. And now you pulled out something else. I'm like,
now this one's actually
this
the
fucking
best
guitar
one.
sounds killer. And I was like, man, I like the like bass that we get out of the E cable or E chord in the other one. And it's like, but fuck, the light tones and your humming, like in the Hummingbird versus the SJ25. Fuck. Yeah.
Incredible.
They've written 3 original songs, and I'm recording them for them. My dad and I are going to record them for them in the next like month or 2. And like, we've known them for years at this point, but I just started doing this for them recently. And I'm like, you're finally at a point where you guys are actually good enough because you practiced and played enough. We're like, we should do this and record your like couple of songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking guy's like 76. And his wife is
Record that shit.
71. So it's like, fucking do it, because they sound good. They look pretty good considering. Do it. It's called the Old Man One Hit Wonder. Like, I'll be the next Old Man One Hit Wonder. Don't need to plan a whole career. Like, it's a whole thing. It's so good.
That's fucking sick, actually. But yeah, with that guitar, I there's a bunch of shit from Sweetwater I want to get to like make it functional and cool.
Yeah,
I want to swap out the pickups because I don't even know what they are. They're like nondescript pickups, basically.
Yeah.
Like they're not humbuckers, they're not P90s. I want to put one P90 in there, and then I want to put the Billy Corgan Smashing Pumpkins. It's got like a cool spiral on it, and it just sounds like a wall of sound. Like it's, and against the P90, which is so bright and thin, I think just the 2 of those, so you can go bridge, neck, or middle because of the switch on it. So you could be like, I just want the wall of sound. I just want like the thin kind of quacky, where I can go right in the middle, and I can have like almost like 2 guitars are playing the same thing, you know? So
fun.
Yeah. I've been thinking about guitars.
Such a sick opening. Again, very video gamey in so many ways that we've said. But he also briefly throws us into second person after the opening line, saying things like, you feel the straps, you feel the weight of this moment. You stand in crash webbing, your breath, your teeth, you carry, you've nowhere to run, you're in deep, and we get pulled into this moment intensely from third to second person for just a paragraph. As he cuts the tension, and actually, sorry, he doesn't cut the tension. He opens with, each boarding shot is a kind of prayer. Like, this whole opening is fucking incredible to this chapter.
Dude, I love the shift of perspective here, because it like is a shift of perspective, but it's also just like Hadrian talking about how, you know, like whenever you strap into this is what you feel. This is how you feel it. But like, it really puts you, the reader, in the seat. And then, every shot is you just said it. Every shot is boarding shot is a kind of prayer. Is so fucking sick. Just and this is the scene that I think ties the most directly to some of the same like phrasing and kind of approaches to this type of thing, and like same feelings, same visceral reactions, the same vibe as a Red Rising scene.
Right.
Because this is so like, you launch and then it's just luck from here. Like, your trajectory was the best we could plan, but nobody knows if you're actually going to make it. You're shooting forward, or you might be debris, and you just hope that the math is right and that luck is on your side. Like, it's such a...
Yeah. He even says it never gets easier to pray. You know, like if we consider that like a bookend, like each boarding shot is a kind of prayer. It never gets easier to pray.
Like, and I also, there's something that I've been noticing a lot about Red Rising. Isn't the first to do this type of scene. They're not the last. This is not, it's not just, hey, it's Sun Eater and Red Rising. This is like to some degree or another, across many genres and many settings, has been a type of scene that's done. But I do notice that like this is the sci-fi version of like storming the beach.
Yeah. Entirely.
and it's just like, how many movies have been made about Normandy? Like
Right.
there's something inherent to the idea that you just like, exactly, you just strap yourself in, and like you mentioned, Overlord, you jump from the plane, you run up the beach, people are gonna die, and you hope you're not one of them, and there's nothing to do but like shoot through as fast as possible and hope for the best. And it's just like, I think it's an intensely relatable thing for people who have never done it. Not relatable in the same way where like, I know what that feels like, but I think that like there's something all the way back to just like
caveman instinct.
Armies clashing. Yeah, exactly. Just 20 cavemen from that cave and 20 cavemen from that cave running at each other, and you just hope your club hit first.
Right.
Like,
I swing big.
There's something so inherently just like uniquely human about this thing, because I don't think you really get this feeling from any sort of and I guess this story slightly different, but I've never thought of or felt this feeling from like a man versus predator sort of situation. This is such like a warfare. This is man against man, and in this case it's man against the Elsen, who could be seen as the predator, very much so. But I don't know, it's inherent to this idea of like two things that are going to clash for similar reasons, and neither of them can be moved, and you just have to hope that you can push through, and it's all up to chance, and people are going to die, and you hope it's not you. And I don't know, it's cool.
Yeah.
And it hits really heavy.
A big difference versus this and an Iron Rain, as we'll like call it out directly, is that obviously this is one shuttlecraft, right? And so we're getting this idea again. I draw the comparison combining the two. Like, take this as a consideration of Starship Troopers, of Halo, of all these other things. But then we're given the intensity in that moment of something like Red Rising being stuck in the spit tube, right?
Yeah, the actual what's happening isn't necessarily an Iron Rain, but the way how it's described, the way how it's like the feelings it evokes, the placement.
You're stressed, your tension, you're ready to go, you're ready to be launched
the
out.
most that feels like reading that type of thing in Red Rising. I've got
exactly. And an important difference again is like Red Rising is almost entirely first person, like right there in the moment.
Incredibly limited, like
incredibly limited.
Not even just first person, limited to the first person's lens. It's limited
eyesight.
Beyond the first person's lens. Sometimes they see something and they just don't tell you that until later.
Definitely true. And by comparison, like this instead is like Hadrian recounting so much of it. So
like
we
essentially
sometimes
first person omnipotent, but not quite, because there's still things he doesn't know about the other people around. But
or he can only take so much consideration for himself. Like he's taking his own consideration exclusively. He's not trying to gauge everyone else's emotional reactions outside of what he saw, in different scenes and moments. This feels the most constrained and claustrophobic, though, of practically any moment we've had.
This is the most in that lens.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other, like, I almost want to call this like lens that this whole thing is in. It's not like first person omnipotent, but it's first person immortal. It's like first person, but the entire story is already known by the person telling it, but only through their lens. So it's like you've had time to review it, which has been how stories were told for how many fucking hundreds of years. But this feels the closest lens, and also weirdly the most modern of his writing, because so much of modern writing I feel like goes for a closer and closer and closer and closer lens.
It does. It feels that way,
which kind of bugs me. At the end of the day, is it because it's the first major series like that I read that kind of changed my life? Yeah, probably. But like the third person limited, there's a main character and you're following their thoughts, but it isn't third person, and it is a wider scope than their own view of the Wheel of Time and things like that, is just my favorite writing style. Just give me third person
always
limited.
Perpetually. I agree with you, and I also don't think that it's based on that. I think it is just the lens in which you're able to wield, and certain people can use different tools better. They can use the narrow perspective and communicate things. I don't want to spoil anything, but one of my favorite usages of POV exists within the Locked Tomb series, and what Tamsin Muir does with each book.
You've told me about how each book has a different
they so far
to a degree.
Each used a different POV, which is very fun, and that's where I'm going to end it, because
I really need to jump into there.
I don't want to spoil it, but
I'll say sometimes authors write in my favorite third person limited. and they're so close with the lens on it that it makes me wonder what they could do with first person Joe Abercrombie.
Yes,
and maybe
right.
Joe
He's
has written in first
practically
person,
writing first, but
I want to
quite.
know what Joe sounds like in first person. I can't imagine it's better, but what if it is? I don't know.
No, he writes first person or third person like first person, which is interesting.
Yeah,
and
I think in a lot of ways, Rockio writes first person like third person.
He knows what I think is unique about Rockio. He knows how to create that distance and pull us closer, push us further away. Pull us closer, push us further away.
I think it's incredibly impressive to write third person with a lens as close as first person.
Mm-hmm.
And Rockio's doing the exact opposite, and in an equally impressive way. He's writing
and
first
then
person
he shoved
with
us into second person and third person. And like,
so whenever it grabs us and pulls us back in, it feels intense. Like,
yeah. As I mentioned to Cullen when we were talking about different books, I was like, man, the one you have to read, like physically, like I get that you're just listening along with the podcast when you do and whatever else,
but
like
Howling
the
Dark,
book that you fucking need to read, like Howling Dark's incredible, should read it. Demon and White Man, like that's the one that you want, the pulse pounding, page pumping, fucking moment.
I agree, but to me, the end of Howling Dark, not just because of all the crazy shit that happens, but the way how there's a shift of that perspective. All of a sudden, we are in third person. We move out of it, and then we drift back in a way where it was always still first person somehow. The use of POV and lens in the end of Howling Dark is one of the most impressive, like technically, things I've read.
Yeah.
So if you're a specific, if you're a listener,
if you're calling,
you mostly just do Howling Dark. Don't like it, that's fine, but finish it, and then start Demon and White,
and then tell your therapist about it, and then
and your therapist can talk to me directly.
They can bill us.
They can bill Cross.
They can bill me. That said, we've talked a lot about a lot of things within this chapter.
Sorry, yes.
But also like the magnificence of the writing. We do talk about it often, or like often enough, but like, man, I think that this just pulls something out of me with the pace and the spirit and the heart of it in such a way that I haven't been able to so positively champion up until this point. You know?
And I feel like we spend a lot of talking about like what's happening plot wise or within like what's the references or things like that, but we don't get to just sit and talk about like how well it's written. And there's not actually a ton else to talk about in this section because it's about how well it's written. That's what it's about,
So again, they limp it onto the ship in their own right. They cut on. We see the plasma cutters. They unload. On board the Cielcin craft, they send out some mapping drones guided by the pilots of the ships, which is interesting. Very Ridley Scott in my mind, as far as I imagine it. They take off left towards the rear where they may have luck either finding soldiers or other critical systems. Potentially, they know that that's the back of the ship, as far as they can imagine. And we also get a little bit of time reflecting on how they destroyed the world ship on Aptica, even though we don't know the story, and how they did it with a small charge in the right place. So there's a lot of like
something.
Yeah. What art? No.
Okay, cool. Something I already knew. I had to switch it up and make sure that I knew it. Look it up, not switch it up. Yes, I 100% agree, but you mentioned the Ridley Scott of it all.
Yes.
And I have to agree with you.
Because the Prometheus mapping drones?
No, I was going to say it's very Ridley Scott, but I was thinking specifically in this for some weird reason, more so of Aliens. And I was like,
sure.
And then I was like, wait, but that's Cameron. Oh, no.
Yeah.
And then I just had like my own internal combat that
that's fine.
I had to satiate, but that's all. But yes, you can tell me about Prometheus mapping drones all you want. I've only seen Aliens, and the third one. Whose name I forget.
Very fair. Alien 3. It just is like it's exponent. Yeah.
And there's Alien Resurrection, which is next, and I will watch it.
Well, I wouldn't recommend that. But
it's most people's least favorite. But guess what?
I think it is the worst in the series. But
then I'm gonna watch Alien versus Predator, baby. I know it's not canon.
AVP is better. Anyway. Yeah, no, I totally get it. And from that side of things, it's just an interesting way to like view the world and how we kind of take our next step into the ship itself. And then we get like a quick line or two about Aptica and like what happened there. Truly, finally, we understand how he did a bloodless. And that's it. How he did a bloodless.
How he did a bloodless.
Yeah. Well, right. That's the whole line. Like he didn't shed any of their blood.
Oh,
instead.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oof. Sorry. Catching up on the notes here. There we are. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like a couple of different pieces of catch up. That said, the soldiers proceed forward, and someone shouts that they're in the walls before they quickly have to form up into the square defensive pattern and begin bloody combat against the Cielsen and the Nehute that they've thrown. And the way the Cielsen and Nehute are described is fucking wild.
Yeah.
It's horrifying. Do you want to read it? Do you want to read the? It's a paragraph.
Sure.
I can read it because I'm closer, but I believe
I
in
got this. Here we
Yeah.
go. It's only a little far away. One of them threw itself from the shadows and fell upon one of my hoplites. The man panicked, dropped his lance, and big as he was and strong, the Cenobite was stronger. It pinned him to the ground, and to my astonishment, ripped the shield projector from the man's belt. A moment later, one of the orbiting Nehute, stymied by the shields we wore, by the shields we other wore, found the soft part of the man's armor between thigh and groin and drilled its way in. The helmets muffled his screaming, but still I heard it. Like so many screams, I will never stop hearing it.
Yeah, man. These guys show up. They're in fucking masks.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's
Dude,
this whole like horror death mask kind of thing.
Right before this, there's like Hadrian stops to be like, I've seen a lot of bad shit. I've done genocide. And yet still one thing that will always stand out to me is anytime I have ever turned down a dark hallway and seen Cielsen war masks. Like,
Yeah. He's like, that fucking shit. Man.
Yeah.
Nothing like it. Yeah.
Oh my God. And the Nehute are just like, they're established in the first book and they are just still one of the most terrifying weapons or creatures or whatever the fuck they are.
Both? Yeah.
I don't like them.
Badness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitionally.
Oh my God. The helmets muffled his screaming, but still I heard it. Like, and this is like the first person we lose directly.
Yeah,
I mean, there
right.
was a whole ship that blew up. That's like,
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
that
couple
what
thousand.
is that? Like a
Yeah.
rough 50,000 people. It's fine.
Yeah, but like we don't
But-
care about 50,000 people. We want to see the one guy gets gutted. That's terrifying.
Yeah. No, this is brutal and it's intense
Mm-hmm.
and I do like how in Howling Dark, I think we started to get a lot more of this. We didn't have a lot of it in Empire, but in Howling Dark, Rockio started to experiment with little dips into the horror genre almost.
Mhm.
And this, I think, kind of takes it. It's still action horror, but it's like this takes it into the horror realm, I would say.
I had this in my notes, but like Howling Dark is Alien, Demon in White is Aliens. In so many
Yes,
ways, right?
exactly, 100%. Yeah, and so I was not wrong for thinking.
No, you were totally correct. But like I meant it like the mapping drone thing was a Prometheus thing. That's specific to
of
that
course.
movie. But like absolutely, you nailed my thoughts early. And again, I've got my like own separate side document. And I was like, that's my comparison point, right? Naturally.
Yeah.
And this
100%.
feels like that.
100%, and it's so good. And this is just such a visceral, brutal, fucking great little horror action scene.
Yeah.
But it also gives us a really cool chance to just see Hadrian kind of go into aura farming Hadrian mode and
Cut
get
a
that
Nehute in
out.
half and like
Yeah,
command
I also-
soldiers and
But I love like it's a simple line. It's not a line that's like gonna win him awards, but I really love the line that's like the sword does not like differentiate friend from foe, a high matter blade less so.
Mhm.
And like it's like a quick little way to remind us like Hadrian is there and fighting in this situation. He's fighting for his life, and his movements have to be so quick and so precise to make sure he doesn't get got by a Nehute. But also, they have to be so controlled and so intentional that he doesn't accidentally behead one of his guys. Like
yeah.
he's fighting like it does feel back to Halo. Like there's so many times I accidentally killed a Marine because they were just in the fucking way,
Right.
and I was using a rocket launcher. What are you gonna
I was
do?
using a shotgun and I got the guy, you know? Like,
Yeah,
he was
exactly,
right there.
right?
And
Like,
I got him.
And it's just this idea that it's like
Yeah.
Hadrian has to be so precise, so situationally, and like just he has to be so aware, you know. And
Right.
it's a cool moment to like get that stress. And again, it kind of, I think that one line pulls you into a closer lens for a brief moment again, where it's about Hadrian and his blade and where it is and what's coming at him, but also what's near him and where he can move and where he can't and the limitations he faces.
Yeah, it's also a uniquely sci-fi thing, which I don't think we get often in fantasy, which is why, of course, I say it's uniquely sci-fi, where like we have range differences and distances maintained within what feels very adjacent to like a phalanx, like a true, like they're locking in, they're in a square pattern, whatever. And Hadrian is there like, I have to be so precise, which is so anti, if you've read like any historical fiction. Cromwell talks about like how, and so many other authors talk about like how stuffy it gets in like the melee of it all. And so instead, this is like, I cannot swing my sword widely. I need to do some weird fucking motions to make sure that I'm not killing anyone.
Yeah.
It's great.
They really gotta, I think someone just has to develop with the high matter blades, like, you know, box cutters.
Yeah, if they were like,
can control how far out they go.
And I feel the tension. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, he should just be like dagger style.
Okay, yeah, but what if you could like swipe on like a little thumb pad and then form the shape that you wanted to form into?
Damn, that'd be sick. Okay, do you know what'd be cooler though?
What?
So if you had like a blade and you could like do like a thumb pad and you could shape them, but you could also like undo that shape and then it was just like a razor blade whip, and you could like Indiana Jones style.
Crazy. Yeah, no, I mean, I love Indiana Jones. So,
and then like nobody in the world could ever picture what that actually fucking looks like. And you never like really describe it well enough for me to like really lock in.
Feather thin, but like not quite sure like how.
But also maybe thick sometimes, or a bit, but it's curved. But maybe it's it's fine. And like, is it interlocked? Is it like a fluid metal? Who's to say?
Who knows?
And like for sure, claw drills. I know what that looks like.
Oh, definitely. Supernova claw drills. They've been described so many times that I definitely have got it
and
all of the times. Yeah. By comparison, Chris Verrocchio doing excellent with comparison with the descriptions.
Chris Verrocchio's understand. Like magic lightsaber shaped like sword disappears in a mist, like whenever Aragorn holds up the Morgoth blade.
Yeah, exactly. Very tiny, very thin, cuts through most everything except for maybe adamant. And that's it.
Yeah, because you gotta have one.
I got it. I got it. And also, like, it projects to a point where it's curved at the top or like sliced off at the top, and you get a little bit of an angular motion. And it's like, neat. Someone did some math to do that. But
yeah,
that's it.
I would really appreciate, because I've never experienced in any sci-fi, fantasy, or fiction, just like a lightsaber type thing, such as a high matter blade, if you will, that doesn't have a kryptonite, doesn't have a thing it can't cut through.
Oh, sure.
Doesn't have an adamant, if you will, but with the caveat of the two, whatever this high matter weapon is, they can't interact with each other, like, or they just don't. So like you can't sword fight with them. Just one passes through the other. Like they don't exist. Because then there would be a limitation of like, the limitation is no longer how you block it, but the fact that it can't be blocked.
Right. So I had to look this up because I couldn't remember. There's only one thing that I can think of that's written close to what you're saying. And it is perhaps one of the weirdest pieces of comic book lore that I can remember. Okay. And you're probably aware of it, but like the specifically, I searched Omega Eyes, not remembering that it's called Omega Beams out of Darkseid, right? So Darkseid has this mathematical equation that like results in a beam that is unblockable in any context. And whatever collides with, I think, is erased, if I remember correctly. So it's like very much, you know, like a mathematical.
I mean, I would say Wheel of Time has something very similar with Balefire,
right?
But Balefire is almost closer to what I'm talking about, where it's just something that like it's less about its limitations and how you can block it, more about like the morality of its usage. But imagine if that was like distilled down to essentially a lightsaber, and just like all of the whatever if it's sci-fi or fantasy, whatever the Ronin-esque.
Well, don't you feel
people
like
that
high
had
matter
it.
is kind of that way innately? Like, and I mean this from
Well,
the
I guess we
perspective
haven't necessarily seen. Does high matter block high matter?
we have. We're aware of it. We have not seen it,
Yeah,
but we're
and
aware
that's
that
what
it
I'm
does.
getting at.
Yeah.
What if high matter in its
Mhm.
existence just passed through high matter?
Sure.
Neither was broken or destroyed, and then there was no such thing as like adamant or something that like blocked it.
Yeah.
It would be very interesting to see a story of like first strike always wins, no blocking. We probably might both die. It becomes more of a Cold War-esque approach where it's
Right.
like once these come out, like it's not good for anybody. I don't know. I'm ranting now about something that doesn't
I understand
exist.
where
But
you're going, and I want to give you a supposition to
yeah,
muse on for a second. Imagine, if you will, a high matter bullet.
yeah. Do you think they're gonna do that?
Would they do that?
That's fucking crazy. Actually, I was not imagining that.
Where does it end? Where does it stop? How does it
like
lose?
in a sun, maybe.
Yeah. What energy needs to be imparted to to make that happen? You know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or railgun. Similarly, I don't know.
Like one that shoots a sun.
I mean, I'm not in charge of shooting a sun, but like, if I were thinking about it, I might consider high matter.
I don't know. It's why I don't have any kids.
It's a good slow roll. That hit me just a second too late. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, son.
Exactly. Oh man. There are a couple of things that I love in this chapter. We've said it's short, but we've talked about it for a long time. One of the other quotes that I really enjoy is, "There was no room for disobedience in the common Cielcen soldier, no free will. They abdicated free will to their commanders, who were in turn slaves of commanders greater, until all served at the behest of an Aeta prince who alone was free, and a god in all but truth."
Wow, that sounds so different than the Empire.
It does, doesn't it? Well, I mean, okay, all right. Importantly, though, and you're not wrong. I love the comparison because I do think it's mostly meant to be a 1-to-1. But importantly, Hadrian has worked through so many contradictions, and I think there is a pretty good comparison here between the earlier quote that we had cited with sort of the willingness to sacrifice themselves, as to the misunderstanding of the Cielcen will to sacrifice themselves. So it's not to say that maybe Hadrian isn't correct with the way that the Cielcen culture is, but also that he doesn't know enough about it at this point, or we don't know enough about it at this point, to not surmise that it's similar, right?
Yeah.
At the very least.
I mean, I feel like the Cielcen are mostly just operating off of an inverted pyramid of the forms of obedience, right? Like that's what this comes down to.
Yeah.
What was the lowest form of obedience in that initial pyramid? It's fear, or it's obedience out of fear of pain, or something like that, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that is where the Cielcen operate at the peak. Like the greatest thing for the Cielcen is fear out of, or obedience out of fear of pain, and it gets lesser as it goes. But it's at the end of the day, they're all just constantly like 1 second away from starvation, or from being devoured themselves, or becoming prey. You know, like, so I think it's just a more animalistic pyramid of the pyramid of obedience, I guess. But I don't know enough either. It's just, that's what it feels like. Or not, maybe it's not even necessarily which one's most powerful and which one's most important, but just which one they value and which one guides more of their culture. And I think that also that like pyramid of obedience is brought up so much that I think it's more important than just like a thought like experiment about why people do stuff, but like kind of establishes the differentiation between the way how the Cielcen operate and the way how humans operate. But I think it's a weird thing where if you take two pyramids and one's upside down and one's right side up, they're still both pyramids, and you end up with like a similar inverted version.
Reflection. Yeah,
exactly. Because at the end of the day, like, there are soldiers launching themselves into a Cielcen world ship with very little to no backup, led by somebody that they view as a god because he is above them within the order of things, willing to be torn apart by like Nahute because it is their duty, because it is honor, because their God commands it, and because beyond this prince, there's a greater God, the Emperor, speaks for Earth itself. Like it is the same thing.
It's the same.
Through
It's
a
the same
different lens.
structure. The only difference that we can perceive at this point, is the volunteer nature that like Hadrian talks about. But we also know that it's not entirely voluntary. Like we know that there are intentional slaves that have been conscripted. There are then the auxiliary units, which are not slaves, that are other forces that have came in and joined. There's an interesting dichotomy here.
If you look
to your
back
point,
if you look back at like
we're-
Tanaran,
Yeah.
that's from fear that he had to return. You know, like it's not voluntary. It's compulsive.
I'm talking about the
compulsive.
Empire, by the way. I'm talking
the
Empire. The Empire is voluntary. The Cielsen are a little less, but I was saying that with a massive caveat. Like it's not
exactly
fully true, but it's as though we said pyramids inverted over each other to like evaluate the caste systems and obedience in particular. I love that comparison. I think of it more as like two prisms facing each other with one beam of light from either side going through, and then they fracture out and they're close, they're adjacent. We can point out all these similarities,
but they're incredibly
and
different too. Yeah,
but there are these like truly like functional tangents that maybe we don't understand yet.
Yeah, and you know, who knows where we'll go with the Cielsen? Who knows how much worse or more evil they become, or vice versa? But like, what I'll say is, I almost chuckle every time Hadrian tells me the reason that the Cielsen are actually so much worse. Because every single time I've been like, humans do that.
We've done that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, and we're going to get to that in the next chapter. Don't want to jump ahead too much. There's stuff that happened in Queen of Mid-Ashes that happens now. And he's like, well, then they must be destroyed. And I'm like, bro, do I need to tell you about the catacombs of France?
Yeah, we'll get into some of those elements. I agree with you though on that, which we did talk about during Queen of Mid-Ashes, you know, and there's some other elements, but yeah, I'm with you. I get it.
All right.
I get the basis.
Yes. So continuing, there was no room for disobedience on the Cielsen or in the Empire, because if you disobey in the Empire, you'll be shipped off to a prison colony where you get to live in hell before you die,
underneath like a false sun forever. Yeah,
and if you disobey amongst the Cielsen, it seems like maybe you get tortured, eaten, beaten, or detached from some hive mind. I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah,
but it seems like you get some version of waking hell before you die. Which is exactly what the Empire also threatens if you disobey.
Right.
So it's different. It is different.
Mm-hmm.
It's different because the Cielsen.
Because the Cielsen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Are scary and have big teeth.
Very true. And they're so much taller, so much bigger.
And you're
afraid of tall people, right?
I don't like them. PJ.
The ultimate.
No, but also like, do they eat people and do they treat people and humans as a delicacy? Is that no way to treat your enemy honorably, as we maybe hear about later? For sure. Do I truly believe that there are no intelligent Cenobites across the universe that have been used as a delicacy for the upper caste of this world? I would be more shocked to learn they haven't. I would be incredibly shocked to learn that no Palatine had a taste specifically for Artani buffalo wings.
That's an interesting thought that I never considered, but like naturally, it probably.
But if you think about humanity in general, rich people today probably eat people, and we have some evidence that maybe it did happen.
Sure. But as a counterpoint, a little bit, most societies don't go out of their way to eat monkey. You know, like don't eat primates.
For sure.
Most.
But right? There's a caveat, and a most important word you're saying here
is most.
Most.
Yeah, right.
And most modern societies don't eat monkey.
Very true. Very true. But with understanding comes the curse of consequence of like choice and optionality therein. Survival dictates a very different level of existence.
Would I eat a monkey if I was starving? Right now. Grill it up.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd make monkey
grill
tacos.
It up?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Some monkitas. It's like carnitas, but monkey.
Put a little bit of corn salsa. So great. So good.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like I was trying to figure out how to combine gorilla and quesadilla. It's a quesadilla gorilla.
Goralita, yeah.
Goralita.
Goralita.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's as close as I can get.
For sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
That said, fighting continues throughout the hallway. I love that as a tangent. It's very interesting, and especially because like
Hey, it was one of our most actually on task tangents.
Hey man, to throw another one in, and I was totally trying to move on here, but like someone's eating the umand. That's just octopus.
Oh,
and it's bigger.
Exactly, for sure. I would be so shocked to learn that none of the umand that are being like shipped off world that we talked about in Empire of Silence aren't being shipped off as a delicacy.
Yeah,
I would be shocked to learn that that nobody's eaten the sealson as a delicacy. So like, it is interesting to be like, it is insane that the sealson eat people, but it would legitimately shock me to learn that people have never tried to eat sealson.
You know, and again, this is in particular, I want to call this out, but this is like it's not a perfect, not an ideal comparison, but in many ways, if we think about scavenging cultures that have existed over time, especially in like barren steppe level climates, there are elements of the sealson that resemble Mongolian culture. And I don't mean that Mongolians were cannibals, but I do mean like the striking out specifically to eat and the way that they do.
Exactly, yeah.
Not that they eat people, but that they claim territory, they claim food, they fight for livestock and things like that, which is a very unique steppe
everybody
style thing.
A fun thing, if you've never dove into history, just don't look up if white people ate black people in America. Just don't look it up.
Yeah,
as a delicacy.
It's a good move
because they could.
Yeah,
not like
it's actually better if like people
source.
don't eat people. Like, let's just start there.
Yeah,
but also right.
Yeah, so whenever they're like the sealson are eating us, I'm like, okay, I can guarantee you if people found aliens at some point, we'd eat them.
I mean, Donner Party,
probably
then also
right away. Right. People eat people out of necessity, but also like within the past 200 years, people have eaten other people out of dominance, which is the entire thing you're telling me the sealson are evil for.
Right.
So
yeah. That said, again, Hadrian fights boldly through a couple of different scenes. Soldier wishing for a high matter blade in this specific moment. The Urktani make an appearance, although we lose a couple of them as they kind of strike down against them. Swooping down, Udax leads the group, pushing them further down the tunnels up until we come to the next chapter. Fun and little action scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the way how the tunnels twisty and shifty, and they feel like mind flare ships out of Baldur's Gate.
Very kingdom that is in Kingdoms of Death, the next chapter. With that, we'll return to Kingdoms of Death. And now we head deeper into the hideous, dark depths of a sealson vessel for the first time. Damp like a cave, the tunnels stretch out before us, as mentioned, that we talked about, burrowed out of these surfaces. He draws a comparison saying, our temples and warehouses, even our humble homes, all of them reach for the heavens. The sealson dig towards hell. Hell, even Volca calls to comment on the way that they make textiles, and like he gives them that information, which is interesting. There's kind of a fun little banter there, but it's a cool view of Kingdoms of Death, as the chapter title frames it, being both one of like this crazy kingdom that is not creating anything, but instead burrowing through, thematically, right? It's always consuming.
Incredibly interesting. Mm-hmm. Also, we do see some silkworm asterisks here
that are monstrous
creatures. The just spiraling tendrils of legs and body and worm and maw. I thought they were like, I thought the factory was breeding a Nuhute. I was like, but nope, they're making silkworms. That might also be Nahute. I don't know, man. Everything's bad.
Yeah.
Literally everything here is bad.
So bad. Vibes bad.
I guess the sealson do wear clothes, and I never really stopped to think how does sealson get clothes?
Do they harvest the skin of their enemies? What is it?
Yeah, no, they have factories with silkworms out of nightmares. But also, weirdly enough, on my drive home, Leslie, my wife, picked me up because she was out of town this weekend and then came back into town and had the car. So she was like, oh, I'll get you on the way home from work. And we saw a dog in the car next to us that just had his face up against the window, but relaxing. And he looked so high. I've never seen somebody so high as this just random dog. And I went on a rant because I had listened to this earlier in the day, and I did not even think about the fact that I connected it to it. But I was like, I was like, man, what is that dog thinking? And I just started talking based on what I was looking around at. And then I was looking at like tall apartment complexes. It's like, man, why do we build upwards, whenever it feels like it would be more supportive to like go down into the earth from where we came? But instead we build these monuments to the heavens out of our own egos. And that's what I was saying the dog was thinking. And I was like, oh my God, it's because I read this chapter like 2 hours earlier.
You think about your lunch break. You're like,
it's just lunch break Josh and after work Josh are two different people. We don't talk.
But you do talk in your mind to each other.
I guess, yeah.
You exchange letters.
Sorry, I wasn't. That wasn't something I was going to talk about. I didn't realize that until right now while you're reading. It's like, oh fuck, that's crazy. That this it's a little thing that it definitely stood out to me, but it's nothing wild. But apparently, it permeated my subconscious and stayed with me for hours afterwards.
I think that's the trick of why I've liked Rockio so much. Like we've talked, we've made fun of, we've poked fun at, we've also like defended, maybe unjustly or justly at different points, the way in which he goes off on esoteric tangents. But part of the reason that it's so good is because some of it sticks with you. They
stick with you whenever they do.
Yeah.
There's certainly a few that like I'm sure I've just forgotten all about.
Rage's blindness, man, is like obviously it's oft repeated, but I think about that all the time.
And
freedom is an ocean
too, because
it
like
sticks with me. Yeah,
freedom is an ocean, and Rage's blindness, like to me, and this is the kind of highest praise I can give of fantasy work, is they remind me of the things that they stick out to me in the same way, and remind me of the things that stuck out to me from those first fantasy books that really stuck with me, like the void and the flame from Wheel of Time will always be something I think about. Like whenever I have occasional, not like frequent, not like not crippling, but I've had more than one this year. No, one this year, one last year. Panic attacks. They're not a lot. They don't happen all the time. I'm not like unreasonably anxious all the time, but I have had panic attacks in my life. I've probably 4 or 5 ever, but enough. And something that got me out of that was thinking about the void and the flame from Wheel of Time, where you just take what you're experiencing and instead of trying to push it out, you accept it in and then you put it forward into a flame that consumes it, and then it goes away and you exist in the void. And it's like a meditation technique. It's not something that Robert Jordan invented, but it's something he reskinned for his world. That stuck with me so much that I do that. Also, box breathing is just a normal breathing exercise where you breathe in for 4 and you hold it for 4, you breathe out for 4, you hold it for 4, and you repeat until you're calm. And I've used box breathing to like work through like dentistry or to like do a bunch of other things specifically because of Assassins Anonymous, because he does box breathing, and it's just like these little things where it's like, whether they invented it or not, whether it's unique or not, the way how they phrased it, the way how their character works through it, the way how it's important in the story sticks with you in a way you remember it more than if someone was like, this is good for you, right? And this is one of those things where, more so in the Rage's blindness area, but this is one of those things where it's just like, you don't think about building up or building down and what that says about a culture or a species. But now I do subconsciously all the time, apparently.
This is so relevant to a conversation that I had earlier today, and I love that comparison that you're bringing because it is this element that I want to talk about. But I earlier today was presented with an opportunity with a coworker, an employee of mine, a direct report, and he had asked in a brief moment. He was like, I'm really into nonfiction, some of these things, and I miss like getting back into fiction. What can you tell me what you personally, because he knew that I like fiction. He's like, what do you personally like what do you get out of like fiction? What's your like goal? And I was like, I don't think that there's a goal necessarily, but the thing that I look for is, and the thing that I gain from it is a deeper understanding of the way that humans are and the way that we interact with the world in an empathetic level, right? So like, it's not about, nonfiction is about taking something, extracting that, and then applying it maybe to your life. Philosophy, ethics, everything else that you might read is about kind of taking those things and informing yourself in some other way that is a structure, a rigid system.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue fiction is almost a deeper philosophy. Like you can't approach fiction earnestly without.
Well, it's a holistic take of like,
Yeah.
how do I understand a personhood differently, and how do I take that in, take that and move forward. So it was just an interesting conversation.
I would like to put a caveat that fiction as a work of fiction for the point of art and fiction exists within this 100%, and I believe it is maybe even a deeper look into humanity and our souls and the reality of our existences than something like philosophy or self-help.
That's what I was saying. Like that's
but
it
I
is,
would also
it is the
like
more
to,
pure approach.
I would like to
in
put
so
the
many ways.
caveat that fiction for profit inherently isn't always that.
Yeah.
Not
Absolutely.
that being profit. So if you're a fiction writer making art of fiction, like fiction that is your passion and your art, you should be paid well for that. If you make fiction to get paid well, like movie executives that exist with zero connection to humanity or philosophy or anything, and they're just like, hey, if we smash 3 Lego pieces together, the people are gonna pay for it. I just want to specify that fiction is not a deeper look into humanity, though maybe it is in its own negative way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are always arguments on every side of every equation, but also how valid are they? And I'm with you. I think that is maybe for a lot of people the least valid version.
There is cheap nonfiction and there is cheap fiction, but whenever people are earnest about what they're creating, I find that fiction gets closer to the heart.
And fiction is just innately more earnest, I think, for the most part.
Well, it strips away the
artifice of ego, which is like implicit in memoir, implicit in nonfiction.
Actually, I think Hadrian kind of says it. Hadrian says it best. There's reality and there's truth.
Yeah. Great.
The way how Hadrian views art is how I view fiction works, and genre fiction, especially within the fantasy and sci-fi space. The farther you can remove yourself from reality and still put characters in there that we relate to, the more you can understand what is relatable. The more you understand how humanity works. And the reason why those stick with me so much is because they distill it down to a point that's more true than it is real.
So we then find a chiseled abode without a keen or clear sense as to what might happen somewhere like this. Outside of the papers hanging is the anaglyphs seeming to mimic the Quiet's language, until we find a dining table in this room, and there's this man on the slab. We find his eyes plucked out. And this is where, like, you brought up some earlier things, like comparing to humans eating humans. This is different. There's like not malicious intent, because like this is what we do to animals in a different way, but there's a prism, opposite prisms, again, is how I view this.
Of course.
Reflecting each other.
This is a whole world built on some of the most terrifying, terrible things that certain moments have been built on in human history. I would legitimately be shocked if no one in human history has ever been ate as a delicacy in this way by other humans.
I mean, yes, this is why we never say no one or everyone.
But the problem is that this is the standard. This is the culture. This is the people.
Right.
Yeah. I think there might even be like a weird like reference to like finding like Aztecan cultures within this, if I remember correctly, or something along those lines.
There was something. You're totally right, and it's nailing. I need to like roll back in my head. There are references to ancient cultures that did similar things, specifically the Aztecs, which did strike out against me when I originally read it. And I only say this because I spent so much of my teen life where most people were obsessed with Greek culture. I was obsessed with the Aztecs and the Mayans. So my understanding of Central American and South American like cultures, while not killer compared to someone who might study this in the collegiate level, is deep. He compares in this moment to the god, and I'm doing this off the dome for people that can't see the notes. He compares to the god Tulok, of whom is the god of sacrifice within the Aztec culture. We don't get the name in the text, but that is the god of whom he compares to the throne fetuses and other people that were discarded.
Yeah.
Generally, though, historically, and it's okay for Hadrian to get this wrong because he doesn't know.
It's propagandized, right?
Well, it's kind of slaves. It was the victims of war that were most often thrown in. So
That's
it was
crazy to think that humans only did it to the victims of war. That certainly makes them different than the Cielsen.
well, but the impression that the Spanish conquistadors had instead was that it was children, it was everyone else. Instead, it was the victims of the cities that fought against the conquering culture, and as such, it was meant to like they were only also done during certain harvest seasons, so as to call it the rain god, and they didn't keep them constantly as prisoners, but instead like. I understand where there's like this deep misunderstanding there, of course, because like they have to take it in the moment in which they see it. And we should also be thinking the same thing about Hadrian. This is a conquistador seeing something that he doesn't understand. Also, this Yeltsin
100%.
see the invading, not even the invading force, they're more of an invading force, frankly, but they see the opposite and they're, what do? Well, we eat those. We like those. They're good. We grill them.
Yeah. It's a weird combination where it's not even cannibalism, as Hadrian points out in the first book.
Right.
Though they, I think, have either already been shown or implied to the fact that they do eat their own under certain circumstances.
It is implied within this week. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting. And again, I can't shake the feeling that, like, if I look at this story from a realistic perspective of my understanding of humanity right now, and maybe we develop and we get better, but I cannot imagine a world where we come across life that's not human, that is equally intelligent or more so intelligent or anything else, where we don't eat them.
We don't try. But that's
that's
predatorship, right? That's apex predator bullshit. Like we always try to eat, and that's the same thing that they would do. That's apex predator behavior,
and that's what I'm saying. Like I can't imagine the humans. I can't imagine the upper crust of the empire, outside of Hadrian's knowledge, hasn't been eaten Cielsen that gets brought back to them.
At what point does predator prey behavior break down? And we don't know that.
Whenever it's predator, and then we get into a weird thing. And I think that this is also kind of what maybe happens if you introduce multiple predators within an animal kingdom, where it becomes less productive to eat the other predator, and then it just becomes about killing the other predator to maintain your own control over the food source.
Right. Sure.
But we haven't seen that here, and I don't know if we ever will. Yeah. Maybe they're both going to fight over who gets to eat the Kurtani, because I imagine giant buffalo wings would be really cool.
We aren't necessarily eating them as far as the story portrays. Right.
Right. Like, of course not. Of course not. Yeah. But, and this is me projecting outside of the story.
Mm-hmm.
I think my understanding of humanity, it would be weird to find that we never tried.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is, with all that said, this is evil. This is evil, and it is the core tenets of their culture. And I think that that's what it really comes down to, is Cielsen can't be reasoned with, because everything all the way down to the core tenets of their culture are evil.
Totally. Yeah, it's just like a tough point of humanity and the evaluation of like, where are we on this sort of ecological ladder, right? Like it
kind of comes down to a weird nature versus nurture, whenever both nature and nurture are both working in a way that humanity views as evil.
Parallel. Yeah, they're
parallel. Yeah, they're naturing and nurturing in a way that makes it impossible to deal with them. Right. And we're naturing and nurturing in a way that makes us impossible to deal with. And so we're just existing in this spot where, like, perhaps if we just got a baby Cielsen and a human Cielsen and we raised them together under some weird amalgamation of the two, they could get along. But currently, right now, it's not an option.
At present, yeah, no idea how that could happen.
Yeah.
So, I love this. We've talked so much about these chapters that we said that no, I'm not worried for our sake or for anyone else, but it's a shocking amount that we have to say about this, because these chapters are so like densely populated with pieces of information, but also esoteric in like a unique way.
So it pulls out interesting, cool to read, but
action-packed, cool to read, but also there's so much more about the Cielsen culture that we get here than we have this whole time, right?
And I think that's the hugely interesting part about Rocchio's writing. I said at the beginning of this, I don't know how much I'm going to have to say. They're just really cool action scenes. Here we are.
Instead, we are 3 hours into an intended, 2-hour episode. So, yeah. I mean, some of that stuff was cut in cut time, but like, nonetheless, long time.
Yeah.
So, we find ourselves at an airlock behind which there were many a shot at finding those missing soldiers, and there's this hope behind the airlock that like maybe there's something else, maybe there's something beyond. So they find themselves an emergency hash to make it in so that they can potentially like work the groups in. And we learn that the Arctani are mostly good in a vacuum as the soldiers begin to make themselves their ways through. They devise that this is the way that they want to go and begin to move through the airlock 5 at a time before a noise starts to emanate, click, clack, along the different spires and tracks of the cave. We get a clang, 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 which immediately called out, obviously, the Lightbringer, although this was published 6 years before, or 5 years beforehand. But nonetheless, as two long arms descend in a horror fashion, grabbing 2 different soldiers and into the darkness, and seconds later, one comes back, metal and meat, wetly crashing against the floor, as we get a shot of a creature in a light of plasma fire, seeing a truly horrendous demon, a demon of RA.
We get the line, it's on the roof, or it's on the ceiling.
Yeah, right.
What
Which I think is straight out of Aliens, for the record.
Yeah, exactly. And it's straight out of Aliens. So much of this also harkens back to like the first Matrix in weird ways. I just think of it because they yell they're in the walls at one point.
Right, which also happens.
Yeah, and it was the good guys in the walls in that. But anyways, there's just this like, there's such a like late 80s, early 90s horror action vibe to everything that's happening here. That's so fucking sick. And this is one of them. Oh my God. The only thing that would suck about this, if it was made in 1989 as a blockbuster film, probably by James Cameron or Ridley Scott, is that the technology wouldn't have been there, but they would have done some really cool shit to make it look like
shit.
it.
Yeah. Those arms vanishing down, grabbing the man, and turning him into a meat puddle.
God, 2 people would have died in production.
Yeah.
Holy
at
shit.
Least.
No,
at least.
This is so good. This is just good, pure, quintessential. Even the bad shit from like the early thousands. I love the Lost in Space movie from the early thousands.
We've talked about it, yeah.
Yeah, and this doesn't get me away from Spider Gary Oldman, it was Gary Oldman, right? Is that correct? Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Spider Gary Oldman at the end. Like it's these descending arms in the sci-fi space that is meat and metal. And oh my God. It's good. That's it.
So good. I cannot help but be enamored by a lot of the work that's done on the page here. I love this reappearance. For us, it's reappearance. Again, one of those things where like this actually, I think, is the thing that triggers for like we've got all this set up for the Demons of RA, all these problems. Like we have the idea, we haven't read it, we don't know exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Here, finally, it pays off, and I think that works internally.
I think that this is the first moment where I was like, maybe that's why they didn't include RA, to have this be more impactful.
I think so. I think it works over the course of
I almost feel like it's more impactful knowing RA. But if we knew RA was in it, there might have been like slightly different prose.
The tension would have had to be a little bit different.
The tension would have been from Hadrian knowing what it is and getting the internal thoughts of Hadrian knowing what it is, as people didn't know what it was.
Right.
I think that this scene would have been written differently if Demons of RA was the prologue, like I think it should be. But it would barely have to change, and I even think it could have made this scene more tense.
It could have, but I think that there's a predictability there. Like, I think one of the things that this scene does really well is like we get the idea of the flirtation between the Extrasolarians and the Cielsen before this without context. Now we see a creature that is not a Cielsen, is not any extra that we've ever seen. Instead, we get this image of pale hands, crazy face, scarred. I mean, if we're talking 40K comparisons, like Tyrannid-esque, like very horrific, rows of teeth, all these different things. And so, like, there's this extra layer of, like, quote, evolution, quote, that we see.
Yeah.
And instead, like, knowing demons, I don't think it hurts it just a smidge. And I want to say, like, 10%, maybe 15%. It's not that crazy, but
I-
not knowing the first time, this scene was horrifying. It struck me so
Oh,
much
I
harder
bet.
than it did knowing the background. So
I present you an alternative
sure.
where we have Demons of Are, maybe slightly adjusted, knowing that it's in this book.
Yep.
But whenever we reach the scene, it's not clang, clang, clang. What is that? It is clang, clang, clang. And Hadrian expresses fear of what's to come, knowledge of what's to come, but doesn't explicitly
That
tell the
tone
reader.
reminds me of
Yeah, I know what is
echoes
coming.
deep in my
Or not even
bones.
reminds me, not even like he's unsure. He says, like, I know what's coming, and there's no way for me to prep my men for this.
I know
clang,
it's
clang.
coming. I hear
If he
the
plays
echoes.
it as Gandalf hearing the Balrog in
Run,
Moria,
fly, you fools!
Yeah.
Right.
like,
Sure.
what is it? And it's just him thinking, and he's like, I know that I know this. I
And
know
the
what
one
this
guy
is.
stands and shoots as another guy is pulled. Okay, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, if they play it as Hadrian as Gandalf in Moria,
Mhm.
incredible.
Could
But-
totally work. Could totally work as a counterpoint. But as written, that's where like I stand
Of
with
course, yeah.
Demons of already cutting a little bit of this tension, but
It
it's not-
does. It
it's-
certainly does.
Again, I don't think it's more than like 10 or 20.
But also, I didn't realize that that's what this was until the moment it happened, even having read Demons of Are.
I mean, importantly, the ones that we saw in Demons of Are were the failures, as mentioned. So, like, we don't know
Exactly.
what could or could not be. And this is not what we saw. So, even though we saw what we saw, this is a weird one. It's different. It worked, as far as we
Yeah.
understand.
Damn extra Solarians out there doing weird shit. Who knows why?
Yeah, and again, the very end of this chapter, they close the bulkhead, and we get the explanation. That is a demon of Ra.
So good. Now, that almost right there, that's the flip of the line. Yes, we get RA mentioned, but like, I still don't really feel like, I feel like that line hits harder having read RA.
For sure, without a doubt. Yeah.
Because that's still just such a, like, I don't really know what that means if I
Mhm.
hadn't read RA. Even having the mentions and everything in the book. But, you know.
Well, the thing that I'll give you, or that I'll explain from my perspective, and rereading it, I try to like pull and pay attention here throughout the first section of the book. They don't really mention the experiments between Ciels and Extra Solarian too much. They mention it twice. And so we don't get enough of like what that means. What does that mean? And so here, finally, we see it presented. It's this horrifying, extra long limbs. It's reaching beyond the grasp of like regular things. It is in many ways Lovecraftian because it stretches beyond our realm of understanding of these humanoid but
It almost
strange
gives me
fucked
like a
up
weird
creatures.
praying mantis vibe too. Like
I
it's just
do.
like-
That's what I get. So I get
yeah.
for those of you who know 40K, I get Death Leaper vibes. And it is, I'll send it to you just so you see it.
Yeah,
but, like,
because I'm just picturing like a
Yeah, yeah.
Cielson metal praying mantis.
it's not so far off, but like it is like Tyranids in general are like sort of they're a combination of different things. They're Zerg from StarCraft. Secondarily, they like fit the same sort of energy of like Cthulhu
Oh,
or
shit.
Lovecraftian.
Okay, yeah.
So my thought when I hear the description,
They remind me of the roach guys from Elden Ring, but Lovecraftian.
absolutely, yeah. Very similar. So just the idea of like these limbs that they don't have fingers, but they have other fingers, they have other hands, and they reach down and they can grab without seeing, and they can just like
thank
grab them out and not care, stab through and then throw them back as meat. Like, I'm not eating that. I don't want to eat
No,
that.
it's okay.
I'm
No, thank
hunting you.
No, I don't need that. I don't like that.
That's what I think about. I was a Tyranid player in 40K, so like that was my guys. I had Death Leapers all over the place.
Hey,
So-
I play D&D. I go to Renaissance fairs. I've considered LARPing. I would never do that nerd shit.
I play
Magic
40K.
the Gathering, fine. No, I would love to play
Yeah,
Warhammer sometime.
yeah.
I don't have
just
friends
so
or
fucking
money.
expensive. That's the problem. But yeah,
Well, you need both friends and money, and I lack both.
I had one friend who played, and we played exclusively together. Yeah. So yeah. Well, I introduced a couple of other friends playing my armies against my own armies, which was totally fine and very fun. When it
That's why it's been hard for me to get into Magic, because I like to play in person, and you have to have all those cards physically, and I'm not going to like print stuff. I
It
gotta
does
go get
cost
'em
money. Yep.
in the
indeed.
wild. I
Mhm.
gotta pull the packs. It feels good. Like
You don't have
Pokemon
to
when I was
pull
a
the
kid.
packs. You can fucking order like a real
I
human.
fucking love
Dude,
pulling packs. Though.
Of course. There was this whole thing. We don't need to get into this fully, and we won't. But that like obviously cigarettes are declining in interest. Chew is declining in interest in general across groups. Alcohol, even within Gen Z, is declining significantly. Weed as
So
well.
it's starting to climb again from what I've seen. But
Everything is starting to climb again because like they're
The
coming
world's
out on
bad.
the other side being like life sucks. Which is very reasonable and happens to practically
they're
every
starting.
generation.
They found millennial hope core, which tells me they're a week away from killing themselves.
Oh man, it's crazy. The like turn around and like being like, actually, My Chemical Romance is one of the best bands ever. Is like, yep.
Even
You're
worse, the
not
turnaround on like of Monsters and Men and Mumford and Sons is crazy.
Oh
to
hey,
me.
yeah. Like, why are we listening to
Ho Hey
Lumineers
went
again?
from being the cringiest shit to being like, actually, it makes me feel like it's gonna be okay. And I'm like, yeah.
Now you're like, yeah. And that came out during Obama. So does that give you an idea? Of where we were at? We were having a bad time then. Yeah.
We were doing the best I can remember, and I was still having a bad time. So we got a long ways to go before any of us feel okay.
A good time. Yeah. But nonetheless, you were there, and we appreciate that. Yeah, no. So, hang on, where was it going? Oh, so the new, so like fridge cigarettes are sort of the new joke, right? Like a Diet Coke or whatever, or like several, or a pack. A lot of outlets have turned to the Pokemon pack or the Magic Card pack being the equivalent of a pack of cigarettes, which from a cost perspective isn't that far off. And also it's kind of gambling.
Cost, and it gives me about the same amount level of dopamine. So.
Which Gen Z has a big gambling problem as well. So, and Gen Alpha. So it's like, oh man, it all fits into the same sort of habit routine problem in a very different way.
Can you imagine if just like, whenever people take smoke breaks at every bar or restaurant
it was just
you've ever worked, there's
we
like
open Magic Packs together.
Hey man, I'm stressed. I gotta go have a pack.
Dude, I've got a Lorwyn pack. Are you ready? I've got a Lorwyn.
Just dude standing outside.
Dude, I've got a Pokemon Mega.
External walk-in freezer. Just all right. Let's get back.
Imagine the bear, but it was Pokemon cards, right? Like,
oh my god! Every time they smoke in the bear, replace it with them just ripping a pack.
So now, to be clear, I don't want to gaslight anyone too much, but like our friend of the podcast, very earliest fan, Logan, of whom is Logan Sandoval, Zeph Barbecue. I
can't stop picturing the bear, but re-editing it where they're opening Pokemon packs every smoking.
Well, so what's fun, and I'm bringing this up specifically
whenever they offer someone a cig, they just let them pull the card.
Well, so Logan was a very early fan of the podcast, very fun guy. Obviously, he's been on a number of Food Network shows. He's doing incredibly well. He mailed PJ and I beers very, very early on in the show. Bring this up mostly for you and maybe for people who are listening who have never heard this. But he incredible fan. Every year I go out to a local fundraising thing in Raleigh. We go to this big thing, and he's one of the bigger chefs there or whatever. And this year he gave out Pokemon packs. And we filmed everyone's reaction to all these like big time chefs opening Pokemon packs, of whom are like otherwise like smokers or whatever else. And they were like, what the fuck is this? And he and I were like chanting and cheering along with them the whole time. I'm like, man, give it 5 years and everyone there would be freaking the fuck out. And that was encouraged because a number of the children of whom saw us doing this, like 11 to 12, came up and were like, would you give us a pack? You're giving them away to free to all the chefs. And we're like, he was like, yeah, sure. Here's 2. Here's 1. Here's
no,
3.
he's getting these kids hooked on poke.
Dude, he's getting these kids hooked on poke so hard. I just think that's like maybe that sort of level of gambling psychosis also aligns with like the modern trend within digital gaming, from like your phone and what you're playing there.
I'm gonna stop you right there and say that I don't care if it's a better or worse game. There's opinions on both. Mm-hmm. I stopped playing Overwatch the second they took away loot boxes.
Interesting. I did too, but for different reasons. It had nothing to do with loot boxes. It had everything to do with role restriction.
I'll say it has to do with different reasons too.
But yeah.
But I was willing to try the new stuff until I realized there was no little dopamine reward at the end.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Fun. Anyway, random side tangent about betting.
Do you know what would give me a big dopamine reward? Eating
Beyond
people.
the doors,
Eyeballs first.
Beyond the plucking them out and eating them like little salty
Plucking
pearls.
eyeballs and then plucking down balls.
Dude,
you know
that salty pearl. It's like the inverse of a.
Also, like they specifically ate his balls and his balls, like his eyeballs and his man balls, because they say his
external.
legs were missing and what was between them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
Which
ate
means
his,
someone got a sausage.
someone got a sausage.
Do you
Someone
think they
got,
put that in like a pretzel? Did they dip it in mustard? Like, what's the accoutrement?
I would like to believe that the sausage was cut into two,
Also,
one each, one half
weird-
each served with each with an eye.
A weird tangent that we don't really get into until the next chapter, but like the idea that there is no blood in these bodies, right? They're bloodless
Yeah,
because of the
they've been
TX9.
drained of blood, and
Yep.
then they have the X. Can't remember the name of
TX9,
it, but
TX9.
TX9.
Mhm.
They have the TX9. They drain the TX9, but they don't have to put the blood back.
Yeah. Also means that like when they're decanted, they were dead in the immediate moment. Like they maybe never woke up, or if they did, they had like a quarter of a second of consciousness before they died as the brain fails.
Yeah.
But also, when you cook that meat that is fully bloodless, like that's such a weird
Have
concept to
we
me. Is when
been
you think about
given-
like a lot of meat. Like
Have we been given any indication that they cook the meat?
no, but I don't like that. That was actually worse. You made it worse. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like it now. I
They
didn't
took
like
the
it
meat,
before.
they got rid of the blood, and now they get like fun, like protein gelatin rubber from humans.
Wow, that actually, in so many ways, solves some science problems that I don't know if Christopher Rocchio thought about fully, but also probably did, and I hate it for that
Yeah,
reason in particular.
that's fair.
And
and I think whenever there is blood, they cook it.
I'm just kidding.
It's whenever the soul meets body.
Yeah, I was going for the
Yeah.
death cap. Yeah,
Cool.
Right.
Same. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, cool. Well, let's talk about
Siren,
beyond-
Hadrian.
beyond the doors of dark. Siren and Hadrian and crew continue to explore their way down. We get a little bit of a flashback again to Demons of Auray, with Siren being the one that was there, which we really appreciated within the story, until they find themselves at one of the ships, ask for the fleet avoiding to explode the world ship as they board the Merciless. On board, it just smells fucking awful with all these bodies everywhere. All these terribly smelling bodies that are mostly eaten, but not entirely. Hadrian explains that the ship as the nature of this troop ship, which is interesting because it is intended only to haul soldiers, not to deploy them internally. So this is very much a cargo ship.
A cargo ship of soldiers that will probably, some of them will wake up whenever they get there, and some were never intended to maybe ever wake up.
And some of them were instead little cows for Sealson.
Yeah.
Yikes. Of whom also
About
never woke up.
2,000 of them, maybe.
I woke up in the year 3000. I became a
I
cow
was
for
a
the
cow.
Sealson.
Yeah.
Everybody
No,
bought our
Cross, I already
second
did the
album. Anyway.
I actually already did the popular alt rock parody. This
You
session.
did this episode. So this was not
If you
alt
listen
rock,
to
but-
our Devil's Cuts available over on the Patreon, for subscribers only, you can hear my rendition of The Best of Me by the Foo Fighters, relabeled The Rest with You.
It was good. It was good. It was about Legend
It
of
was
Vox
something.
Machina. Yeah, it was good.
All right.
Nonetheless, it's an interesting comparison that we get here with the troop hauler. Not a crazy difference, but a horrifying scene to walk
Yeah.
into.
And there's just like discarded meat. Sometimes they take them out and they prepare them and they eat them. Sometimes they just eat them on the spot because they're starving. They're literally just like they're in these. They're cryo frozen like they're in a freezer, right? Like this is like whenever I remember going like 10 ways on a cow once. Because there was like a farmer that the brewery I worked at had like a deal where we gave him the brewery grain once it was like spent for brewing, and then the cows ate it, and then we got like a super good deal if we wanted to on like one of the cows whenever it was like butching time. Yeah, I went 1 of 10 ways on a cow, and I had to use my uncle's like big freezer in his garage.
Yeah.
Because 1/10
a
of
lot
a
of
cow
meat.
is more meat than you realize you're ever going to eat.
It's so much
Um,
more. Yeah.
Yeah. And it feels like this is their walk-in freezer, right? Like this is
Yeah.
this is the C. Yeltsin like deep
This is
freeze
this
backstop.
planet's walk-in freezer. Planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is this planet ship's walk-in freezer, and there's a lot of them. And even still, I'm like, man, they have to have other food, because the fact that they only ate 2,000 of these guys in the decades since they got taken.
Yeah, it's like 15 years. They've been missing for a little bit, enough to report there and back, but like the
Well, it took them
probes-
over a decade to reach this place.
It did. But the thing herein is that like they were captured, but that doesn't mean that like the full food supplies were empty before that. Like
That's true.
had
They might have been
probably
eating
food.
something else before they
Right.
got to these ones.
Yeah, so like there are layers there where I agree with you for the most part, but I'm not saying that this was the sole food supply at this point, because like they would have been so
Well, and
desperate.
that's what I said. They had to have had other food supplies. And that makes
Yes,
me wonder
right.
about
So
that.
like this cannot be the only catch. Like
Yeah.
And I think Hadrian even mentions like in this chapter specifically, this is when he begins to talk about the idea of like when and what they eat, how often they eat, like what that kind of looks like from like a societal perspective too.
Now, with that said, this
Yeah.
is terrifying. This is horrifying. And it brings up so many questions about like how the Sealson operate with their
Mhm.
catches and their feasts. And is this world ship the same as how the other ones operate? Because we've seen other ones go down to planets
Mhm.
and just be there for like 100 years and consume
Thagura,
if they can.
right?
Yeah.
Harvest. Yeah.
So this is less of a harvest and more of a grocery store situation.
Or a meat locker, like you mentioned. Like it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. It's like a butcher
Yeah.
shop, right? Like, but the back half of this chapter really is also something that's crazy.
Yeah, I want to mention one little bit before we fully get into the back chapter. There is a wonderful little set of lines that talks about an Earth legend of old. Right, we get through like the bodies
two
in the immediate
Earths.
moment, the smell, the two Earths. Right.
I don't know that that's referencing. I don't think that's referencing flat Earth. I think
don't-
that's referencing just the old, like the very ovalin map
Yes.
that represents the different like continent structures.
Entirely.
But then he thinks of it as flat Earths that are separate.
Correct. Yes, entirely. So this is like, it's not that it's flat Earth necessarily, but it's also that the belief or the misunderstanding of ancient cultures and the way that we had like circumnavigated and or done the math here to like make that make sense as we think about the world, which is what the intention was.
They just didn't have the legend of the map.
Yeah. But they also read the map, understood the words, saw the word legend in a corner.
Like, this
with,
was the legend.
which is a key, which is true on a lot of maps. Legend is the word, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. They didn't have the map's legend, but like here
but here instead we have
created
the
a
legends of
legend
the map.
around the map.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to read the quote here. There is a legend which holds that Earth, in her antiquity, was not one world, but two. Indeed, the oldest maps show two globes side by side, with the old world of Rome and Baghdad and Keen on one side, and the unmapped Terra Incognita on the other, the two halves joined by a narrow band of sea. I suspect this is only symbolic, for surely the Earth is, whatever the Chantry teaches, only a planet like all the others. Nevertheless, it is said that men found the narrow way and the new world beyond. They sailed for gods and for want of gold, and, as I've mentioned before, the dreams of eternal youth, though such was not to be found on Earth's waters. But in time, they came to a city on the lake. Oh, fuck, this is where it is. In time, they came to a city on a lake, greater by far than any city they had seen, but a city of horrors.
This is
The men who dwelt there fed on human children and offered victims to the sky. Importantly, they did offer victims to the sky. They mostly threw them in ponds, though. They were mostly victims. They were mostly people that were conquered in war. And also, finally, well, there are so many things that we could say about Tenoch the Clan, which is what they're talking about here in the immediate moment, which is modern Mexico City. But importantly, I wanted to mention that there wasn't a whole lot of sacrifices to Tulakan at that point.
Yeah.
because that was mostly done in the more eastern provinces in the Yucatan. And
I mean, I'll mention I got a very cool experience to like be in Guanajuato for a while, which is not that's much more south.
yeah, I mean, I've
but,
spent time at Tenochtitlan and out eastern.
But yeah, getting to go
in
like
ruins.
to the Museum of Torture and the Museum of Cannibalism there and find out about how it is not at all like what you would think it is, and it's very much more like you were saying,
It's the
specifically
conquistadors, as we mentioned before.
Yeah,
Like they
punishments
had an
for
impression.
conquest, or the cannibalism that exists is very ritually based and very rare, but does exist.
Is mostly
But-
driven by the priesthood and mostly for them
Exactly.
themselves as a
Almost like
representation
throughout the
yeah.
Cielcin and the Empire, and then going all the way back to the ancient Mayans and
to an empire trying to conquer a people that they didn't understand. Yeah.
It's almost like it's always the worst, most heinous acts are religiously based.
Yeah. I think the
Oh.
unique difference here, though, to the point that we've already discussed to some degree, though, is that like the Aztecs weren't necessarily at this point sailing out to other empires, right?
Mm-mm.
They didn't.
No.
They weren't conquistadoring themselves, outside of the fact that they were actively warring with the
Well, I would say
Incans.
they were spreading amongst.
Instead,
Yeah.
it took longer for them to arrive on that. Instead, they focused more on science, which is because part of the reason that they like knew more about stars than a lot of other cultures did at the time that they did is because instead they had the time and space to think about that as opposed to war for their lives. So-
Yeah, I mean, yeah, most scientific developments in like normal European, like Western European culture at the time was based on just like how to make bow shoot harder, what gunpowder do, you know?
Yeah, angle against sky, make it accurate. Right.
Yeah. How do I navigate? Learn enough about stars to make sure warship go faster.
Yeah, make
But-
ship go faster, make me go where I need to, make me circumnavigate. You know, like
yeah,
it's-
exactly.
Yeah,
But yeah,
so-
I mean, I do agree on all of that.
This is just Tenochtitlan, and again, it's like painted as like this horror in Ancient Explorers. I'm like, I get it. And like, obviously, Hadrian, as we paint this picture, I felt something of the horror those Ancient Explorers felt on finding that blood-soaked city then. And I
But,
understand, especially from Hernan the Conqueror's
Yeah.
that angle, but like, no one is idolizing Hernan outside of, fucking this guy.
Yeah.
Hadrian.
I will.
Yeah.
I will also say, like, Hadrian is viewing history
Through an incomplete
hundreds of
lens,
thousand
obviously.
years past it through a Western lens. Like, it's very clear, kind of where.
Has two worlds as well. He doesn't even understand like the ancient history at a basic level. So like we can't really fault him. And I love like Rocchio's
But it's like, what would
interpretation
Hadrian
here,
think
but-
if he learned like the truth of like some of the most heinous things that the settlers did to like the indigenous peoples in the Americas?
Right. Yeah.
Are they
like,
that?
what would he think
is
of
that
Andrew
different?
Jackson?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What would you think of what the British did to the people of India?
Mm-hmm. Right.
How would you feel about it, Hadrian? But that's not where he's latching on. He's latching on to a very specific.
We talked about
version
Kipling
of
last
history.
week, Josh. That's not this week.
Yeah.
That was last week.
My bad.
But I'm
My
just
bad.
kidding. Yeah. Yikes.
all
But
that
to the
say,
point, yes.
I think that
Yeah.
Hadrian has a view that there is certain select moments of horror in human history.
Yeah.
And the Cielcin's constant is that horror. And it goes even beyond it, which to a degree is true, but I do kind of think that there are like constant horrors of human history, and there are select pockets in the grand scheme of like not horror more so. And we're just fortunate enough to be living in the not horror, and the horror is still existing simultaneously with us elsewhere. But
right there. Yeah.
exactly. So it is another moment of Hadrian living in a world that is propagandized based off of a certain history that led to the rise of this empire. And it is also Hadrian existing in a world of privilege, because I would be fucking floored to find that nowhere across thousands of worlds and trillions or quadrillions of people is this shit still currently happening to some degree or another. It would be very interesting for Hadrian to come across some like backwater, unregulated world outside of anybody's control that has descended into essentially what could be seen as the same horrors the Cielcin rot on people because I believe it exists in this world. If you go to Firefly, it's still the Reavers. And were they created by the Empire of their world? Yeah, but that doesn't make them not exist, and that makes the Empire complicit.
Right, exactly. The interesting question by comparison is just
spoilers for Serenity. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What system created this Yeltsin, which we don't know, and that's one of the things that Hadrian says earlier. He's like, we created all of our own systems and all of our own things to survive in the dark of space. This Yeltsin must have done the same, and I'm not sure what created them.
He talks about how we evolved in a certain way, and we evolved upward, they evolved downward, kind of. And like,
well, he does that with the building to heaven and the digging into hell thing. But I'm talking specifically about, like, he says, like, we as humans constructed an artifice or a layer of artifice based on structures that we had decided were appropriate for ourselves. And they similarly must have done the same thing. Here's the quote. Hadrian mentions not knowing or ever understanding the great lengths with which Yeltsin must have gone through to make it so that they could survive the dark of space, in a similar way as to the way that humanity had survived and created its own caste system and mutilated themselves to become palatines and patricians and everything else.
Yes. Yeah. Then what mutilations and evolutions did they have to create from their earth-dwelling, deep, burrowing lives? With that said,
how do we get there?
I do want to like jump into the back end of this. I mean, if there's more to say on it, for sure.
A single thing here on near the back end is that, like, we do see a structure that you had mentioned earlier that is very reminiscent of like human structures. We talked about this, but in Queen Amid Ashes.
Yeah, we don't need to dive too into it.
This is the sort of same structure that we've seen before, referenced with the Quiet.
Yeah, we're creating
snakish, bonish. Yeah,
snakish, bonish statues to gods that exist within the Yeltsin that are maybe their version of the Quiet, or maybe something detached from the Quiet, maybe something beyond the Quiet. We don't really know who this god is, other than that it is like a Yeltsin god that they worship, and it is a serpent, and it is created in visage and always idolized via the bones of the conquered. And there are just thousands of human skulls and bones to create another visage. And it's bad.
The only like critical difference I think between here and what we saw in Thagura in Queen Amid Ashes is the fully clean.
Yes, these ones have been stripped clean, but there's more time.
No, the previous ones were stripped clean. These are not stripped. These have hair and like shit like that.
So do you think that comes from hunger based? Like they had to be stripped all the way clean on Thagura because
we
not a bit could be wasted? Or
we talked about this a little bit within Queen Amid Ashes, but there were also those like eel like things.
Oh, that would strip the bones clean.
Yeah,
so they
could become like semi like space cows, as we imagine them, right?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, okay, but also, there's just a really cool thing at the very end of this book that I think is fucking sick. And I don't want to jump across things too fast to get there.
No.
We're there. Talk about it.
So we get to the end of the chapter and we get on board the ship of the Merciless, and it's like, okay, what do we do here? Do we try to like fly it out, or what do we do? And this feels like a very Star Wars-y moment where it's like, nah, we're inside the ship, we're in the Millennium Falcon, in the Death Star, we shoot the fucking Death Star. What are we doing?
It's so fucking like honestly, it's so obvious, but I didn't think about it until he said it. He's like, how much power do we have? Not enough to get out of here. What about enough to power the guns? Do we know what direction they have the scans? They know what direction the critical systems are. They got to do something that'll get all of the fucking Yeltsin that are flooding into their friend's area to redirect. Hey, we could punch a hole in this planet right now. So fucking sick. It's just actually so cool. I remember, so I was laying in a break room alone, like on my back on the floor listening to this because I was just a tired boy. And that happened and I sat up. I was like, wait, are you doing what I think you're doing? And just the idea of like redirecting the guns, using the drone scans to hit critical systems and also like major populated areas. And they're like, hey, how far does this shoot? Forever. This is gonna punch all the way through the fucking planet. Let's drill a hole in this planet to the other side and then out into space. Is so fucking brutal. And you got to think the Cielsen, to a degree, whenever that happens, are thinking the same shit about Hadrian that he's thinking about the Cielsen. Like,
on the other side, you also think about the construction of the chapter. I think about the construction of the chapter. We get that the Arctani can survive vacuum. They can breathe a little bit. We know that our people have shit and can breathe.
but we know
So
the
that
Cielsen can't.
They can't innately.
Or
so
we
know
assume. Yeah.
we know that we're facing a bit of a crazy situation. Maybe a little bit of space diving between the planet. Who knows?
So fucking sick.
Yeah.
Also, just a quick honorable mention, the Arctani
Yeah.
being able to survive a vacuum,
Yep.
being not only an airborne warrior race that is intelligent and we learn honorable in their own way. Also being able to just dive through fucking space bird style.
Woo.
What? They're just Falcon punching out here? Like, they're just full on Smash Bros on top of fucking the spaceship fight map. Star Fox. That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking of.
It's the
but
Star Fox,
specifically
yeah, the show.
Falcon.
Yeah. Right.
God damn it! Like the Arctani are cooler than Hadrian mentioned, and he only has ever talked about how cool they are.
Yeah. Yep.
They're so rad.
So fucking
I want to be an
sick.
Arctani when I grow up.
So Josh, we end there for the week.
Mm-hmm.
We begin next week with In the Belly of the Whale Through Far Beyond the Sun. I'll tell you, it's another, I think it's 5 chapters. Let me double check here. It's not long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 chapters.
Damn, okay,
Just a
yeah,
quick
very
little
doable.
guy. Although I'll say, like, there's no short chapters. They're all meaty, you know.
For sure. So
But
In the Belly of the
very-
Whale is clearly just going to be like a retelling of like
Jonah? Yeah.
I was going to say the Geppetto and Pinocchio situation with the well, which
for
is a
sure,
completely
for sure.
original story that has never been told.
Yeah,
before
actually,
that.
the one that they do here, and I can't believe you didn't think about this because like you're so with it, right? Is Larry and Bob the Cucumber, like Larry.
You're right. You know what?
the
Actually, now
cucumber,
that I
Bob
think
the
about it,
tomato. Right.
that was a retelling of Geppetto.
I mean, it was a
and Pinocchio,
retelling,
'cause
but
that
like,
came out
was it
first.
really like that? Was probably the real thing that happened.
So, anyways,
right?
we're gonna do Jonah, Nineveh, the whale, the Bible, and I don't know how, but I assume they're gonna jump out the ship, and then just the big space whale is gonna swallow them, and then they're gonna have
'Cause
to have
we've
a
seen this.
conversation
Yeah.
with the Quiet, and he's gonna be like, "Look, the Quiet, I don't want to go to Nineveh," and he's like, "You have to go to Nineveh." He's like, "No," and then he's gonna spend like
But I'm
3
going
days
to
in the whale.
Nineveh. It's close. It's similar.
And then
Send me there.
And then the
Yeah.
whale's going to spit him out of Nineveh.
Yeah.
And, but I
Phenomena.
do, that's mostly a joke. Far Beyond the Sun. I don't think
Mhm.
this is what it's going to be, but I hope it's a chapter that takes place entirely far beyond the ends of the book. Just it's a completely contemplative in his current moment chapter. That would be really cool. It's not what it's going to be, but it'd be really sick to just have a Hadrian now reminiscent chapter, kind of like Night Journeys,
Sure.
because it's
Cool.
far beyond the sun. The sun
Mhm.
is what he blew up. This is beyond that. This is
I'll tell you, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fascinating. 5 chapters to end this little stretch.
5 chapters. I can do it. I
That's
can do
it.
5.
That said, thank you.
Nixon 5. You know, so
Nixon 5. You know.
Yeah.
It's
it's
but,
basketball. It's fine.
yeah, right. No, I got it. I watched
Okay.
the game. I watched the end of the game.
Look, I don't care about basketball.
Everyone said
I just,
Nixon 6, so I kind of wanted it to be Nixon 6. You know.
but you know what? Nixon 5 is cool, and I don't give a
It's way
shit about
better. We
basketball
love
at
that.
all. But at the end of the day, as a guy who's only ever lived in California, I am a proud New Yorker. And,
Yes, and as someone who has always had teams win things forever, as a Californian,
yeah, I'm
the
just
rest
a
of us
proud New
need
Yorker
fucking something.
today.
Yeah, right.
And every time buses run a little better or people get free childcare, I'm like, hell yeah, that's my
Hell
city.
yeah.
You know?
We'll cheer for that, and I will cheer for that as well.
Yeah.
As a North Carolinian now, though, I gotta say, like both the Knicks win was incredible, and I loved it. I did watch the whole thing.
Where you going, Spurs?
Yeah, you're not. But the Canes winning as well on Sunday. The
Uh-huh.
Hurricanes. in North Carolina. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Our governor issued a letter of apology for anyone who was hungover or late to work on Monday, which was very fun.
Well, look, hey, we're gonna have to continue this conversation later this year whenever the Padres win their first ever World Series.
Man, that'd be sick. Either that or the Twins. But
honestly, if my only hope every World Series is that it'll be the Padres or the Brewers or the.
I think the Twins have won one.
There's like
when.
5 that have never won. I just need one of the ones that have never won.
Yeah. Hang on.
The Kraken. No, the Kraken.
Well, the Kraken are new.
That's hockey.
Yeah.
The other one, the Mariners.
All right.
The Mariners.
The Twins
Also
do
Seattle.
have 3 titles.
Oh, you got 3 titles? You want another one?
3. So
the Padres have none. Guess how many times we've gone? Once we lost.
I'll shut up. That's fine. But I do want to say the first one, 1924. Does not matter.
Yeah.
Does not matter. The other ones are 1987 and 1991. So
all right,
those are relevant.
Padres, the old Pads.
Padres need it. Padres need it.
I love them.
Yeah.
So they have, in my knowledge here, gone to the World Series exactly once. No, twice. They went in 1984 and they went 98, and they lost both times. Okay. And they've also consistently, for like the past 5 years, been in like the top 3 possibilities to win the World Series and not gone. So,
yikes!
It's so cool being the 3rd best team in the league, and then beating the number 2 best team in the league, and then not getting a chance to play the number 1 best team in the league because the number 6 best team in the league just beats you on a fluke.
Welcome to like the Vikings history. I love that we experience this on different sides of the fence, but I get it. Yeah. I'm with you.
Anyways, this is a sports podcast now. We're talking about the balls.
Yeah, the couple of sports that we enjoy, and only the balls that are thrown.
I would say collectively we probably enjoy almost all the sports. It's just we don't enjoy the same sports.
We do enjoy similar sports. But we also I don't think either of us are sports chasers by like
no,
watch or like keep
I
track.
Follow the Padres specifically. I like hockey, but I don't necessarily follow
Padres is probably I would say you are more into the Padres than I am any other sport for the record.
Yeah.
Like you've got more investment there.
But that's because my city has one
Vikings and Kraken are like right there for me, but like right underneath the level. Yeah. Kraken because of my sister, and then Vikings because it's my life.
Doesn't have a pro team from my understanding.
Yeah.
That's how I was in Fresno, and I was just not into sports really. And then I moved to a place where like I can walk to the stadium for one specific pro team, and all of a sudden I'm like kind of into that pro team because it's like I don't give a shit about sports, but I give a shit about the culture of the city I live in.
Yeah,
it's based around this camaraderie of a sports team.
Right.
Almost like you could say that like the entire reason that like the Red Company exists is because of the camaraderie around Hadrian Marlowe, the devil of Majois.
So again, next week, we're reading In the Belly of the Whale Through Far Beyond the Sun. That said, thank you for listening to this week's podcast. You can find us on social media at Words and Whiskey Pod on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. If you'd like to reach out to us directly, feel free to shoot us an email on any of those social medias. You can send us a DM or an email at wordsandwhiskeyshow@gmail.com. If you want to support us, check us out on patreon.com/Words and Whiskey as well. We've got a lot of unique shit. Right, Josh? What are we talking about lately?
What are we talking about?
Yeah, on the Devil's Cuts, man.
And what are we talking about? Here's what we're talking about. We're talking about cartoons. We're talking about the Foo Fighters. We're talking about maybe some other stuff. I don't know.
We burned some good bits within the Devil's Cut, but it's good. It's better that way.
Do check out the Devil's Cut. It's always actually better. And
also, like, some of this episode is going to get cut into the Devil's Cut because we did do maybe one or too many tangents.
Hey, if you want to hear about our opinions, and not necessarily even on this one, but they're just in general, our opinions on emo bands, our opinions on D&D monsters, our opinions on movies. Well, those are still in the main episode. But it's even more in depth and less upsetting because you're not trying to listen to us talk about something else. It's just in its own world on the Devil's Cuts.
Yeah. Extra bonus, recently, one of the most recent things that we put out at this point in the Demon in White episode 1, you can listen to one of Josh's very early demos with his
That's
new
true.
band.
It's like
which is so
whenever we
early.
talk about a demo, we're
brand
talking
new.
about like it's bullshit. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's not even a song at all yet.
Plugged
But
it in
just
for the first
so
time.
you can hear it.
Yeah.
It's just fun. It's just like if anyone goes like, "Ooh, that's
a
kind of
minute.
tasty."
Yeah.
It'll be really fun in like a month whenever it's like a full demo. It won't be a finished song for like months.
It'd be a fun thing for people who are listening along.
But
to
whenever
check
it's
that
like
out.
a full demo, I think I'll have you throw it in another Devil's Cut.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Also,
a little progression.
You need to leave us a review on any platform that you're seeing this on.
5 stars.
Please subscribe, whatever you're looking at. Like all of you YouTubers, dear God, please, if you are listening to this podcast, it's not even 5 stars. Just click the button. Click the button. There are 2 buttons. There's a like. But you should give us a 5-star review. Josh, if they don't give us a 5-star review, I'm thinking
I was going to start with the eyes, personally.
we can start with the eyes. Let's start with the eyes. We'll start with the eyes. Next
One leg,
week,
then the other.
we'll bring it out.
One arm.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
other stuff.
Put them on a slab. Give them the treatment.
Look, I'm going to put you on the slab,
Give 'em a
you know?
taste.
And also, I don't know if we talked about this in the moment. That guy was alive a little. And that's
for a while.
upsetting.
Yeah, right.
That's not good. Because he
That guy
reaches up
had
a
his blood
hand.
back in him. Yeah.
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 So that's not good at all.
Either
That's
he
what
had his
we're gonna-
blood back in him, or he was posed like a doll.
Oh shit. Well,
Which is
either
fucked
way,
up.
that's what we're gonna do to you if you
Yeah.
don't leave us a 5-star review.
Yeah, that guy is the only one though, because like everyone else, as they talk about within the creches, they like there's no blood, and then we get the TX9.
Well, there was
answer.
an interesting thing where they're like, "Oh, they wait that long." I think that there is a difference between, like a cut of meat for survival and a delicacy.
Absolutely.
I think they might take the time to put the blood back in when they really want to savor it.
totally, and maybe they just figured out how. You know, that's
Yeah.
another thing.
If they figured
So
out how
it's
to
like-
get the one stuff out, it's just a different button to put it back in.
Yeah, right. They just have to fuck around long enough to be like, oh, okay, we can
Yeah.
bring Jeffrey back, and we will eat Jeffrey on a slab.
Dude, poor Jeffrey.
So sorry for Jeffrey. That said,
Yeah.
with that, dear listener, there are endings, and this is this episode's.
And we've got so many more endings raring to
Cool.
go. Absolutely raring to go
Cool.
for you over here.
Cool? Cool?
Rad.
Dope.
Bye.
Bye.